What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mortgage Industry Social Collab 2020. Woo! I'm probably the only one excited about this. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to have a good conversation. If you guys have been paying attention to all the social media quotes and all the blasts we've been doing about this, we're going to bring on actual practitioners, experts in multiple areas of social media and digital connection. 30-minute increments to hear these pros talk about what makes them pros. And I'm really excited for our first one, the Power of Podcast with Phil Treadwell. Let's bring him on right now. All right, friends and professionals, here we are with topic number one. And what better way to jump into this social media collab than the power of podcast with Mr. Podcast himself, Phil Treadwell. Now, this guy's been running a podcast for over 2 years, dramatically changed his whole career, the trajectory of his path, by putting his word out for everybody and to connect with and engage. And so let's talk about the power of podcast with Phil Treadwell. Woo! Intros, bro. Intros.
Nice, dude.
What do you know
I'm
about
in the background dancing to this intro music. I'm like, this is good stuff.
Well, dude, Phil, thank you for being here today. Thank you for talking about this topic that I know you're super passionate about. And I have to tell you before we start, you're a major inspiration to me in my podcast. Just the fact that you were willing to, you were the first one I got exposed to in mortgage.
I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
So let's talk about your podcast, dude. But let's set it up. How long have you been doing this game? What's it like?
Well, mortgage game, 16 years, podcast game, a little over 2. I mean, technically, I started the podcast a couple months before the podcast officially launched. But, it was one of those things I've been wanting to do for quite a while. And like all great mortgage professionals, I'm a procrastinator. And I waited and I bought all the equipment and the microphone, and then I did nothing with it for like a year. And so I decided one day I'd had a really bad bout with pneumonia. And I've had pneumonia a few times because I've always had some asthma and allergy symptoms. And my mortality kind of flashed before my eyes. As I get old, I realized that, hey, we only got a short time on this rock to do what we want to do. And not to go morbid, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, why haven't I executed some of these things? And I was sitting on my couch on a Sunday night, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do a podcast. And I started inviting some of the biggest people in the industry, people that I knew, people that I didn't know. And by the next morning, I had 3 podcast recordings later that week. And then I realized, you know what? I want to do this podcast, but I'm not really sure how to do it. And so I called a friend of mine and told him, I said, dude, you've got a podcast. It's on Apple. It's on all these different things. And bro, like, let's be honest, you didn't do this. Like, who helped you? Come on, man. And so he gave me his production team and we were off and running. And so launched with 5 episodes on the first part of June in 2018, went to Mastermind, promoted it everywhere, started collaborating with other podcasters, and the rest is history.
Dude. Well, I mean, the rest is history. I mean, it's current life.
Right, for sure.
You're still living in this space. So, I mean, let's just quickly, you mentioned insecurities. You mentioned like, I don't know if I should do this or how to do this. And you mentioned procrastination. I know a lot of people have been dealing with that in their own life. And so let's just kind of dive into some results for a second and give some people some hope.
Yeah.
Into like, is this worth it? What happened to your career, to you, when you just finally jumped off?
Man, it's been all positive. So first of all, let's start with the procrastination, insecurity, and some of those barriers to entry that a lot of people have. You just have to go do it. There's no quick fix. There's no solution. The solution is to take action. And that's really what happened is before I even knew how to do the podcast, I started booking interviews. And what happens is if you subscribe to that ready, fire, aim mentality, a lot more gets done. And so at the end of the day, that's really what I did. And then from that point, what happened was I started collaborating with some of the industry's best influencers, experts, industry titans that came on the podcast because my sole purpose was to help people build their business and do mortgage marketing better. Anybody that's listened to the podcast here's that mission in the beginning. And so what we did is we were just trying to add value and content. And so by collaborating with these people, I got to know what they knew. I got to share it with other people. I got exposed to a lot of concepts and people that I wouldn't before. And then through that, my business grew. Podcast downloads grew, social media followers grew, income grew. It all grew because I subscribed to Ready, Fire, Aim, and I didn't. Some people all the time, you can't have paralysis by analysis. Everybody wants to have their setup and they want to know how they're going to do it and the scripts.
Hold on. Let's talk about your first setup, dude.
Please.
What was it? Like, tell everybody.
You mean, what is it? Because we still have the same first setup. We got a right here. It's a blue Yeti. It's the old school OG, silver one. Yeah, there's a black one right there. I bought this a year before I started the podcast. So 2017, about $100 microphone. I still have the same $40 Logitech webcam right here. Yeah, yep. Because see, what happens is if I go too high def and you see what I really look like, you're going to understand why I have a radio face and did a podcast and not like this whole video thing that you're just rocking out of the park, by the way. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, my first setup was about $150 worth of equipment. I found a podcast hosting platform that was like $15 a month. And then everything else was because I didn't want to take the time to learn how to edit, and I paid someone else to do it. So, I mean, again, my setup was minimal, and I still use it to this day.
Well, see, I love that, dude, because it's just telling people, dude, just jump off the edge. Like, it's just jump off the edge. It's clearly worth it. And we have a LinkedIn question here on this about solo style podcasts, which I love. And I don't know why LinkedIn isn't throwing up LinkedIn user 1.0, but share with your thoughts on solo style podcasts.
Yeah. So it says, do you write an outline or what's going on? Shared flow as it goes. Yeah. So I don't do a lot of solo podcasts. I typically do it interview style. However, through Industry Syndicate, my partner, Dustin Brome, and a lot of other people do solo podcasts. Ones that I listen to and ones that I know they're most effective. Like Alex said, you just talk. Now, you may want to have some bullet points of some ideas of, hey, over the next half hour, I want to cover these concepts. But if you try to make it scripted, it's going to sound scripted. And let's be honest, nobody wants to listen to that.
Nobody wants scripted.
So at the end of the day, you need to have an idea of what you want to talk about. But you need to do it by telling stories, right? A good friend of mine, Rene Rodriguez, has Amplify, and he talks about frame, message, and tie down. That's what a good story is. You want to frame it up and tell people why they should care. You want to cover your message and then bring it home with a call to action or with a challenge or a why did you listen to all this and to begin with. And if you have a couple of concepts and you'll tell stories that illustrate those points, you'll have a lot of people who will listen. And at the end of the day, the reason memories are important is because you don't have to memorize your own memories. So if you'll just tell stories and talk about what you know and share, people will listen because you have something to say.
So, Phil, did you ever think that starting a podcast 2 years ago would take you where you're at today?
Absolutely not.
Did you have? Yeah, you didn't have it. You didn't see it either. Because I saw you sitting up there podcasting with Gary Vee, and I was like the most jealous, like just sitting back, like and like so 2 years ago to nothing to sitting down with Gary Vee.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I started it specifically because I wanted to give people something to see when they Googled me or looked me up on social media. Because as a regional, I recruit and hire, I network. I like people. I love this industry. I want to move it forward. And a podcast was a way for me to accomplish three things. One, get exposure into the industry that I wanted to create credibility with. I wanted to add value and information to the people who was my audience. And the third thing was I wanted to do content in a way that was passive, because I don't watch a lot of long form YouTube videos. And so podcasting, you can get people engaged longer, and you can do it at the gym. You can do it while you're at work. You can do it in the car. And that's what I wanted. As a busy professional, that's how I consume content. And I wanted to create an outlet that did those same things.
So I want to hit something you said, because I don't want people to miss this. What Phil's doing is creating human connection at its core, right? And so it's framed up in mortgage because that's his space. But I want to share a side thought and let Phil jump on it and go deeper, because he'll know people like this. I have a loan rep that works with us up in Seattle who started doing a podcast because he's starting to listen. But his podcast is not about the mortgage industry.
Right.
His podcast is about adult men's and baseball leagues. And these people that play baseball leagues competitively as adult males and are into it, like deep into it, not just in watching it, but in playing it. And so he started this thing called The Comebacker, and and I'm like, well, how much business are you getting from this? And he's like, all of it's now coming from this.
Yep.
Because they know he does mortgages. Like, he doesn't need to be like sponsored by me, the mortgage guy. Like, it's just amazing what it does. And you've been living this.
Yeah. So personal branding, I think people miss this a lot, is about the person, not the brand. And so many people want to create a shtick or a website or a logo and call that their personal brand, when really what they need to be promoting in their content is themselves. And just like this guy did with the podcast with The Comebacker, I have a loan officer that created a podcast because he and his family do a lot of ministries. They do a lot of nonprofits. They adopt kids. And so he created a podcast in his community that does nothing but highlights other nonprofits and charities and ministries in the area. And again, people know he's a loan officer. You don't have to go out and amplify that fact, but he's getting to get into circles and talk to people that he didn't think that he would. And so that's really what this whole thing is about with me. My audience was other mortgage professionals, people I wanted to network with, people that I wanted to potentially recruit and hire. And that's the formula you have to choose. Who is your audience? You have to decide what type of message you want to give that audience. And then number 3, you choose the best medium to deliver that message to that audience. For me, it was podcast, because other busy mortgage professionals may not have time to sit here and watch a 30-minute video, but most of them do have time and are capable of listening to a 30-minute podcast. And so, then it was a matter of just a little bit of hacking culture, right? I bring huge people on who had something to say, who offer thousands of dollars a month is what their coaching costs or their platform. And we get them for 30, 45 minutes for free to ask any question. I didn't care if nobody listened. I was learning all kinds of crazy stuff.
But I have to highlight this again, dude. The fact that you just asked people of credibility to come on. Yeah. Like, who's Phil Treadwell? And you're like, come on my podcast. And they said yes. Because, people want to talk about themselves, and you're giving them a platform to talk about themselves. You don't even have to do the talking.
You don't. And that's the cool part about it is most of them initially, I would never forget Todd Bookspan, is a good buddy of mine now. When I reached out to Todd, because I had seen him at Gary V, he was there with a group of like 10 people. And he reached out, I was like, who are you? Why are you asking me on? Whatever. And I let him know, listen, I'm just starting a podcast about mortgage professionals, for mortgage professionals. I want to bring people on to offer content. We're not monetizing this. I'm just trying to add value to the industry. And those first 10 or 12 conversations they realized there was no hack as far as trying to get something for nothing. I wanted to amplify them, add their value to my audience. I was going to get to learn something. And at the end of the day, once I had those first 5 or 10 guests on and had credibility, I was able to continue to get bigger and bigger guests. And then now it's, a lot of people will answer my email or social media message because we've had, the Gary V's and the Ryan Serhants and the Steve Sims and some of these people, even outside of the industry, that have come on. And so it was just a matter of asking. I learned that from the 4-Hour Work Week with Tim Ferriss. Pick up the phone and ask, and you'll be shocked what happens. People are like, what do I need to say? What is my script? No, call and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I think you can add value. Here's the type of value I can add for you. Are you interested? And you'll be shocked about how many people will say yes.
It takes courage. It takes courage to do that. But as you're hearing from Phil directly, guys, it's going to surprise you. Leslie, I hope we answered your question. I think that Phil nailed it. Do what you're passionate about. Be a connector of things you're passionate about. You can see Phil's passion about driving the industry forward, the mortgage industry. But trust me, if you're not connected into your passion, it's not going to land. Yeah. And I love this comment by Julian. By the way, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And in a second, you're going to see either myself or producer Mikey drop all of Phil's social connection places. So where you can subscribe to his podcast, where you can find him online, his YouTube channel. That's going to come across about all of them. But this is a great point. And personal branding is about the person, not the brand. Just driving it home, Phil. So let's do this. If someone's going to start a podcast, dude, they are fired up now. They heard you. They're like, oh my God, changed his career, changed his life. I got to get in there. You can do audio only podcasts like how you started, Phil, because, you were joking about face for radio, but look,
radio face, I'm telling you. Yeah.
But that's actually powerful because some people are like, I don't want to be on video, and I'm yelling at them to be on video all day long. So
for all of those people that don't want to listen to Alec, listen to me. Like, it works. We got yin and yang going on here.
So if they want to start a podcast and they're coming to you for consultation, what are you going to tell them?
Yeah. So again, I go through that 3 steps. Who's your audience? What type of message you're trying to deliver? What's the best medium? Because sometimes podcast isn't the right medium. The same way people are like, I want to do Facebook ads. Facebook ads may not be the best medium for what it is you're trying to do. So I want to make sure that podcasting is what they want to do. The second, like Leslie was talking about, is what subject matter? What are you going to talk about? I agree with Alec. It needs to be something that you're excited about, that you're passionate about. I know it's crazy, but I am very passionate about the mortgage industry. I'm a young guy. 16 years in, I learned from Gen Xers and baby boomers, but I'm 38. I'm kind of one of the original millennials. And so I kind of bridge that gap between the old school and new school. And I'm passionate about moving this industry forward, hanging on to our long-term, the long-standing success principles and applying them in a millennial world. And I think you need to be passionate about that whatever that subject matter is. The very first podcast I ever listened to was called Basic Brewing Radio. I'll give them a shout out. They're a home brewing podcast that was near where I was, and they're national all over the country because I was in the process of opening up a craft beer brewery. And so I loved beer. I wanted to learn, and that's my first exposure to podcasting was home brewing. I've listened to podcasts of all kinds of subject matters, and that's what you have to do. Find something that you're interested in, bring people on who want to talk about it, have a microphone going, and go. So it's very simple as far as find a good host. I mean, there's Libsyn and Buzzsprout and SoundUp, and there's all kinds of great places that you can put that audio recording, and they blast it out to all the places that we listen to podcasts. But it's as simple as grabbing a microphone, plugging it into your laptop, having a conversation or having a conversation with yourself and putting that up for people to listen to, and then market it a little bit on social media, do some videos like Alex talking about. The process of a podcast is not difficult. There are so many great resources out there. You can Google it. You can message me. You can message Alex, Alec. All of these people and all these resources are out there for you. You just have to make the decision that you want to do it and that you're going to do it consistently and persistently over time. I don't know if persistently is a word, but we're going to use it. Consistency and persistence over time is how that you're going to have success at this.
Dude, I was joking with somebody, Phil. They're like, I don't know, how to do the podcast. I'm like, you know how to do Zoom? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you see the record button at the bottom? Yeah. You just did a podcast. Mm-hmm. Like you just did a podcast.
You joke. What people don't know is that a lot of people know, but what I don't think I've mentioned enough is every single one of my podcast recordings from day one has been recorded through Zoom, even the ones that are live, right? So that's how my first podcast producer taught me how to do it. Because when you record in Zoom, as we all now know, it gives you an audio file and a video file.
You're done.
It splits it off. So that audio file, I send it to an editor for a little bit of money. They, create a little intro and outro with some cool music. They put those bumpers on there and we upload it, and that's it. Even when I'm live and people laugh at me, but hey, it's a poor man's podcast. I'm going to roll with it. I'll have people live. I'll open up my laptop, put the webcam on top. I'll hit record in Zoom and record me and that person right next to each other. I know there's all kinds of more techie ways to do it, but I didn't know how to do it. I was a mortgage professional, right? I had a microphone, I had a camera, I had a laptop, and I did the thing. And so, we've had tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of downloads and guests all over the place because we used a little bitty mic, a little bitty webcam, and we pushed record. And that's all you have to do. We didn't do anything special. We just did it consistently over time.
Man, I love that message so much. So many people need to hear that are in their space, whether it's mortgage or anything in sales, or you want to build community. I've got a buddy who does hardware components for computers, transistors and blah, 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 and international distribution. And he started a podcast, and all of a sudden these guys at billion-dollar companies are like, can I be a guest? And he's like, there's no one else in his space, contributing to the conversation. All of us have audiences.
Well, and I now get at least one a day, if not two a day, people that reach out that want to be guests on the podcast. Some are a great fit and some aren't, because again, my mission and the whole point of the podcast is when mortgage professionals listen, that they're hearing something of value that can help them build their business or do mortgage marketing better. And some of the topics may not be as sexy as others, right? Yep. But that doesn't mean that there's not value there. And sometimes I'll throw in those episodes that a lot of people, even my own wife, she'll listen to them and help me out. She's like, well, that was, an okay episode or whatever. And I'm like, but people need to hear it. And so you kind of get to that place where you're sharing information, whether it's popular or not, because your point is to do that. But be excited about it. I learn so much new stuff by having conversations with people, and we all do it at events. The difference is I put a microphone in front of mine.
So I got a question here from a LinkedIn user.
Please.
It's funny. It's got to be the same person because everyone else on LinkedIn, I'm getting their names. But what's your take in group discussion style podcasts? Mm-hmm. In your opinion, are millennials consuming this type of podcast content?
I think millennials are consuming all types of podcast content, first of all. And second of all, I love group style discussions, especially if you have a topic that you can just kind of throw in the middle of them and let them go. That organic type of conversation, the authenticity that comes along with it is super powerful. I think there's plenty of podcasts out there that are very scripted, that are well produced, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think something that people have related to our podcast from the beginning is we don't edit out every and we don't go through and ask super scripted questions. Now, there's maybe some questions that we make sure and want to ask, or if you listen to my podcast, I go through the same process of giving someone a background so they can frame up, hey, here's my experience. So here's why what I'm telling you is going to be relevant. But I love group style podcasts. I love having more than one person on there because enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm. And so I'm not typically this enthusiastic and excited on camera, but I'm feeding off of Alec and we're talking about something that I really, really like. And so the more people you have, especially if they're also equally excited and passionate about the topic that you're going to have, man, I think that that's gold. And I think a lot of people will listen.
And I want to hit another thing you said and just maybe see if you'll go deeper on it for everybody. Man, there's so much to talk about. There's so much content and there's so many things. And sometimes, as a personal example, when I was doing that stupid 100 videos challenge, I had a video that I woke up that day to post it out of Dropbox. And I was like, this is garbage. I looked at it, I watched it again. I'm like, this is total garbage. But I didn't have time to do another video. So I just posted it. And sure enough, later that day, I got an email from somebody who was like, I really needed to hear this today.
Yeah.
And I was sitting down there thinking, this is garbage. No one cares about this. This is a stupid thing. How have you experienced that in the content you've put out?
Yeah. So when I first got started before the podcast, I actually started an Instagram page called Mortgage Marketing Expert. And the whole point was to do a mortgage marketing tip of the day. And I did that because is my team and my wife heard me coaching and helping other mortgage professionals, or as I was recruiting people or whatnot, I would have these little one-liners that I would say, like, it just kind of came out, personal branding is about the person, not the is about the person, not the brand. It's things that I think about and I say repetitively. And so she started writing them down. And I put them out as a mortgage marketing tip of the day.
I love it.
And ironically, the podcast was a byproduct of, after about 100 days, I started running out of stuff to say. And so I wanted to bring people on and steal their quotes and make those the new mortgage tips because I didn't want to be redundant. But the point of what you're saying is the tips that I thought were going to be awesome and we're going to get a lot of engagement and a lot of shares and a lot of likes kind of fell flat. And the ones I'm like, it's okay, I'm going to post one today. Those are the ones, the same thing. There were people like, that's what I really needed to hear. And I realized that you can't prejudge the content on the front end because either a podcast episode, a video, a piece of content that I'm not sure that I don't know if it's really any good or not. Sometimes those are the ones that perform the best. So at the end of the day, you have to keep hitting record. You have to keep hitting submit, post, whatever euphemism you want to use. Because if you prejudge it, at the end of the day, you're robbing someone of something that they may need just because you didn't like it. And so put it all out there and see what happens.
I have to echo that, man. For everybody listening and now and in the future, just stop judging yourself so harshly, dude. You're your biggest critic. Not that the world is way more accepting than you think. Like everyone's like, oh, I'm going to sound stupid. I'm going to be judged. I'm like, no, you're not. You're doing that to yourself. And this is, Phil's just sharing openly about his experience through this and the connection it's created. And stop judging yourself, man.
The enemy of great is perfect. And everyone that tries to be perfect, that tries to have the right saying, that tries to produce it, that has the right background, like all these different things, you're robbing yourself of doing great things, putting out great content, really accomplishing something because of that perfection. If you look at the statistics, there's a very, very small percentage difference in great that's pretty easily attainable if you work hard, and this perfection that's unattainable. You really don't get that much lift between the two. So focus on making the mistakes, because I know Alec will say this, because I will too. Every really impactful thing that's ever happened to me or that I've learned has been coming through a mistake that I've made or a failure that I've had or learning through someone else's failure. And I say that all the time is, you taking your experience and failures and imparting that into someone else is the very definition of wisdom. And so, you can't have great things happen without failures is the point. So don't worry about making mistakes. Just go do a bunch of stuff, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work. And the formula becomes very, very clear.
So guys, we've got about 7 minutes left on the Power of Podcast before we're going in deep diving on Instagram. So this is your chance to really draw out your own personal questions and ask Phil what's really going on. I think it's self-evident. Okay, let me ask you this, Phil. Should everyone have a podcast?
I don't think everyone should have a podcast. I think everybody that wants to have a podcast should. There is podcasting is still wide open. I'm getting ready to post a blog post that talks about the things I've learned over the first 2 years. And the very first point that I make in there is there's still room for everyone. We're not at critical mass where there's not a lot of podcasts. And the cool thing about podcasting and podcasters is we're not mutually exclusive. We're actually each other's business development, right? If someone that's not been exposed to podcasts comes and listen to my podcast, chances are they're going to go subscribe to 3 or 4 or 5 others and vice versa. So we want to lift each other up. We want to help each other. So if you're wanting to do a podcast, one of my first recommendations, reach out to other podcasters. And so, yes, go out there and do it. We have, I think the number's close to 100 million people now listens to podcasts on a monthly basis, but there's still like half of the country that still has never even heard a podcast before. And I want to throw out a couple real stats real quick because I think it's extremely important. The average podcast episode is 37 to 40 minutes long, and 93% of people listen to most or all of an episode that they begin. Only 7% of people listen to just the beginning or less than half. And a couple of stats on that, the reason that's important is because a podcast listener is 45% more likely to have an income of $250,000 or more. You should hear target market. And then the other part of that is that 70% of podcast listeners say that they've become aware of a product or service specifically because of a podcast episode. And that's super important because when we're talking about unfolding content and we're talking about really, creating ideas and unfolding thoughts and whatnot, you can't do that in the first 10 seconds of a video, but you can do that in the first 5 minutes of a podcast. And so, man, I really, really encourage people, if you've got a cool idea, go do it, be committed to it. Don't do it for 3 months. I think it's Lewis Howes that says, if you're not committed to putting out a podcast episode consistently for 2 years, don't even start. And I agree with him. I will say you don't have to do it every single week, but you need to do it consistently. But yeah, I think it's a long-term play that people need to jump on board.
So let's ask this and try to get this out in like a lightning round here. So let's talk about momentum, because you just made a comment that I think might scare people, which is if you're not willing to do it for 2 years, don't do it. And everyone's like, it's too much commitment. And my personal experience on that is I was going to do 1 podcast a month in 2020. That was my goal, 12 podcasts.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I'm doing 1 a week. And I'm booked out through for next 60 days. And I was like, holy crap. Like the momentum, it just rolled on me. And I'm like, I think if you put yourself out there, you'd be surprised how it all connects.
For sure.
But then let's give you your take on long form content. Like this is long form content, a podcast. But what does that do for you in terms of creating like as a pillar content for you? How does that help?
Oh, so that was a softball. That was a great cue up right there. So podcast, in my opinion, is the best way to create long form content. Example, if I use Zoom, if Alec and I were on a Zoom call right now and I'm recording both audio and video, we're going to have a 30 or 45 minute conversation. And now what happens is you can use the audio for a podcast. So you have audio content. You can shorten those into smaller clips and do it on Alexa flash briefings on the Amazon device. You can take those and create audiogram graphics. You can take some of the quotes and create quote picks. You can transcribe it and create a blog. You can take 2 or 3 minute videos and create highlight videos on YouTube. You now have pillar content and long form content that you can break up into micro content to put across any social media platform, anywhere that you're putting content out. Period. So my point is that you can have 1 30 or 45 minute conversation a week, a month, however often you want to do it. I don't want to scare people with that. I just want to make sure people don't wait in and say, I'm going to do 3 podcast episodes and, cross my fingers for results, because there's an element of a long-term play here. Yes. But you could create a podcast, even if it's not officially a podcast, you could have a conversation with someone and break that up into micro content, hundreds of different ways. And now you don't have to worry about what content do I create? What do I say? Go have a cool conversation with someone and break that up into a bunch of different pieces. And now you have content to share all over the place.
Dude, you're the man.
You're the man.
I'm so appreciative of this, like just this 30-minute engagement time. I mean, there's so many comments here about like, this is amazing. And thank you. And, your commitment to pushing the industry forward, to having these conversations, to sharing openly and honestly about like what gear you use, no secrets, no hidden thing, no buy my ebook for $20 in the back. No, just that authentic nature is what's crushing it, dude. So I really appreciate you. 2 minutes left. Final comments from Phil Treadwell. What do you got?
Man, effective marketing is the balance of trust and attention. Okay.
Someone wrote that down.
What's that?
Say it again.
Yeah. Effective marketing is the balance of trust and attention. And it's something I say all the time, so people are probably getting tired of me saying it. But I could light myself on fire or light Alec on fire and put it on TikTok, and we're going to get all kinds of attention. But we've not created any trust that people want to do business with us. But we have a lot of some of the most trusted mortgage professionals out there and real estate professionals that aren't putting out content, that aren't trying to build a brand. And so they're still not doing any business because people don't know who they are. You have to balance the two. I will say, to take it a step further, that I think the future of production in our industry are built around technology, automation, and access to data. And I think that if you do a podcast and you create that micro content, there's all kinds of ways to automate it. But man, at the same time, go out, have fun with it, do something that you're going to every morning wake up and be like, I'm excited to do this today. Don't count the results. Look up 6 months, a year later, and you'll be shocked at what's happened.
Dude, keep crushing it, man. Thank you so much. All right. You're out. You're free, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Have a good one, everybody.
Friends, we're going to pivot into Instagram. Neil Dinger's in the studio, hanging out. This is going to be a really fun conversation. So without further ado, another 30 minutes. Let's go into Instagram and bring on Neil.
All right, friends and professionals, we are on to presenter number 2 with our topic of mastering Instagram. Now, when I found Neil Dinger, I was like, holy crap, this guy's producing. I had content envy. Content envy is a thing. It's a thing. And I first saw him on Instagram, dominating the space, 20,000 plus followers, but actually getting great collaboration on that platform. And so I was like, hey, dude, let's dive in to mastering Instagram. And he said, yes. So here he is. Without further ado, let's bring on Neil Dingra to check out the Master Instagram.
Oh, I love the music, dude. I get pumped. I actually have to have those. Otherwise, I would die of talking to myself too much. Neil, what's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Dude, I'm so stoked to talk to you today. Thank you for being part of the collab. Thank you for sharing all that you do. And I know, but just before we start, guys, I know we're going to talk about Instagram and dive into that platform because it's important. There's people there. There's opportunity there. But man, this guy does so much more too. I mean, this is another guy who's had a podcast with Gary Vee, and I hate him forever. I mean, this guy's producing content at scale across multiple mediums. And so thanks for diving into one today, dude. I'm really excited.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. You said how you found me and I had found you same way through LinkedIn, right? Like you found me on Instagram. I found you on LinkedIn, and I saw when you were doing those 100 days every day.
Oh, never again.
And I was like, who is this guy? I cannot get him out of my feed. Like every day there was another video and another video and just kind of came out of nowhere. And then I started watching them. And then I started learning, and it's kind of cool how there's people popping up within the industry now that are helping others at other companies, because like I always preach that, we should collaborate, not hate, and not compete, because there's so much business. And I think once you realize how much business there is, like once your business gets to a point where you couldn't take on more, then you finally get that point of like, okay, now I understand what all these guys have been saying. Like there's enough out there for everybody, so we should all help each other.
Man, I love that. Well, let's talk about Instagram. When did you get into Instagram? When did you make it a focus and a core part of your strategy?
So I started on Instagram an account just about 2 years ago. I didn't even have an account. Okay, so I had a Facebook and.
Dude, hold on a second. Everyone's gonna freak out on this. Like that's 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like, that's not exactly. Like I've been building it for 10 years.
No.
And by the way, if you're following on Facebook or YouTube and LinkedIn, look for the links we're gonna post right now that are gonna have his handle, so you can go check out what's going on. So 2 years ago, what made you get in?
So I had just been following content from everybody, and I was a consumer of content, not really a creator of content. And I just started seeing all this stuff. And it was just a cool place to be. Like, if you think about it, who's the cool kid, of all these things? I guess we're not getting into TikTok yet, but for me, it was Instagram, because that was kind of red hot. That's where everybody's at. That's where my age group of content creators was at. That's where all the big influencers, the most known influencers were at. So I started following and learning from other people. And then I kind of started seeing what they were doing. I was like, I could give this a shot. And the first foray into posting content there was bad. Like I didn't get anything from it. It's
I want to talk
the hardest
about
one to crack.
Why was it bad? Like, why do you think it was bad?
Well, it's because you're learning, right? You don't know what's going to work, and a lot of times in our business, like we're so used. I've been in the business for 18 years. I am I've got the sales thing ingrained in me, right? So I thought I was supposed to go on and say, hey, I'm the best mortgage lender. I have the best rates, products, and I'm the most experienced. So you should work with me. Like I started overselling myself and not really realizing that that's coming across bad.
Well, so pause, because that's everyone's not going to hear that right away, and I want you to hit it again, because if you're going to go into social media, people think it's social selling. I need to sell. I'm going to sell.
Yeah.
And so your experience was that didn't go so well.
No, it doesn't. Sales on when you're growing, you're trying to grow an influence, build your brand, grow an audience. Selling works against you, so it's counterproductive. So you want to shift that whole mindset, and it's hard for us in this industry because, like I said, we've all been taught from the first time: closed mouth doesn't get fed. Always be closing. You have all these these things that you've been trained, and I come from a background of like coaching, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with the core coaching and things like that, and it's very aggressive as far as like, you got to ask for business. You got to call these 20 people and ask them for business, and ask them and shut your mouth, and you'll be surprised what happens, and all those things they teach you. And so that does work. Like I'm not knocking the core or any of that coaching stuff or the sales stuff. It works, but it does not work on social, right? So I had to get off that.
So what did you start doing?
So then I started thinking, okay, what are the guys who are growing? How are they getting engagement? And trying to figure out that hack. And I think it's very difficult because what happens is on Facebook, I think the audience is more forgiving. They're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. On YouTube, you're just kind of like tree in the forest. You post your video, you're not really expecting much feedback. Same thing with Twitter. You're not really expecting much. But on Instagram, when you post something and you get no engagement, it kind of hurts you. You're like, you're kind of bummed out, right?
Quit. So I want to talk about that, because that's when people immediately go, this is bullshit. Like this is not for me. This is whatever, because they got that initial, stab.
Yeah. So what you'll see is like people reach out, they'll ask me that question. Like I've been doing it. So I just kind of give up on Instagram because it's not really working for me. And you'll see a bunch of posts that are all sales related or that are just canned corporate type produced content that everybody's using. So it doesn't stick out. So you have to think about it. Other than TikTok, for Instagram, it is the shortest attention span. So we think of YouTube, we think of Facebook, we think of all these platforms. Yeah. And as far as the user's intent on Instagram, their intent is quick, short things. They want to get some piece of information, or they want to laugh, or they want to get some entertainment, and it's fast. That's why you see Instagram stories is the fastest growing thing. They literally put Snapchat out of business, almost. Like they came out with stories and it just took off. It's insane, the growth, the daily user growth on stories. So what happened was that tells you that stories is fast, it's quick, it's real, and that's what people want on Instagram. So like I had to figure out, how can I create content that fits the intent of the user on that platform?
That's smart. That's absolutely dead on. People are missing that point.
Yeah, and that's where people, I think, are failing on Instagram. So what I want to try and do is, with things like this and with the content I put out, is I want to help people create content that would get better reach on Instagram, because it's the hardest one to crack. And also, find success, because like what you're saying is, when you don't get any positive feedback and you don't get any engagement, you don't get any results from there, you give up on that.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, So just simply posting there is not going to get it done. You actually have to engage there. And I know you do a great job of this on LinkedIn, and I've seen you active on many platforms. Engage with other people's content, so that way they see you and then they come check you out.
So yeah, we have to unpack that deeper, because I think that's honestly the core truth, by the way, on every platform.
Yes.
And so it's especially on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because on LinkedIn or on Facebook, you send a request to connect and now you're buddies. But it doesn't work that way on Instagram. I can go like Neil and follow Neil. It doesn't mean Neil's following me.
Yeah. So in order for that, so you can follow somebody, but the main thing that will get somebody's attention, either a client, a friend of a friend, somebody you want to network with, somebody in the industry, or even an influencer, is to leave genuine comments, genuinely engage with their content. So don't spam people, but actually look at someone. If you saw a piece of content, like it's an image of carousel or a video, and you liked it, or something stuck out to you, leave a comment, like put yourself out there. And then that sticks out, because when somebody, for a smaller account, when somebody leaves a comment and they only get 5-10 comments, yours sticks out like a sore thumb. Now all of a sudden you're like, who's this Alec guy? I'm gonna go check him out. Oh, he's in the industry too. Or, oh, he's friends of so-and-so, I know them. And then all of a sudden it starts the connection.
Dude, I love that. We have a question here for you. I threw it up there. Do you think that conversations or vibes are different in the DM across all platforms? And how much do you utilize? I'll add to it. How much do you utilize direct messaging in Instagram personally?
I use it a lot, because the reason why, it's super easy. It's native to the platform. You can send voice memos, you can send video messages, and you can send text. But the cool thing about it is, the more engaged you are with people on DM, the more they will see your content, because then the algorithm realizes that if me and Alec are DMing all the time, then when I post, Alec's going to be one of the first people that the algorithm shows the content to, because the algorithm knows that we're connected. So it helps to DM with people, and to be responsive when somebody DMs you, to respond in a reasonable time frame, because then it's actually working for you as far as increasing your engagement, increasing your reach on the platform.
Well, let's talk a little bit about results, Neil. So you put a lot of 2 years of effort into that platform specifically. Share with everybody, like, what has that done for you? What has it done for your business? How has it helped? Are you getting business? Are you getting DMs? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so I was in the industry, like many of us, asking for business, getting referral partners, asking for meetings and things like that, right? And always asking. And if you ask enough people, you get the business. But I was getting more and more burnt out, because my efforts were becoming less effective. So I would have to ask way more people in order to get the same results. And then each time that's growing, because people don't want to deal with unknown individuals. They're not answering cold calls, things like that. So buying leads was it just seemed like a dying business for me. Yeah. So I said, how do I change that to attract? And so I started doing this stuff. And then what happened was, as I started to find more success, people started to reach out to me. And I think you'd be shocked when it happens the first time, when someone DMs you and says, hey, Alec, do you have time maybe today to meet with me to discuss, my financing, or would you have time to talk to me about this? I know you're a busy guy, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, do I have time? Yeah, this is awesome. So people start reaching out to you. LOs, like, would it be cool if a realtor asked you to coffee? Like, the first time that happened to me, I was like, oh shit, I've been asking realtors to go out to meet with me for 10 years. And now they're asking me, like, what's up with that? So, once you become a thought leader, once you become putting out good quality content, I mean, I think of it this way. There's so many knowledgeable people in our industry, like that know their job inside out. They provide extreme value, but nobody knows it except this small group of clients that they work with. So imagine taking all those secrets and all those things and all your expertise and putting it out there in pieces of content. Now, all of a sudden, everyone gets to see it, and you'll be surprised how many people are attracted to that. So they're like, who is this guy that's sharing all this great information? And then they ask you, can I pick your brain? When I need you, the first person I think of is that guy I've seen 10 of his posts. So I started to get more and more inbound, and then it just kind of took off it was really slow. And I think this happens with all businesses is as you're trying to scale communication, it's super, super slow. And at the end, it's fast. Yep. It's big. And that's a direct result of content marketing on these platforms.
So a lot of people are now getting fired up. They've probably clicked on your handle. They looked at your stuff on Instagram and they're like, holy crap, it's beautiful. It's amazing. I can never do that. He must have a full production team behind him producing this amazing looking carousels and content. And when we were rapping about that, because I even asked you, like, so share the secret, man.
Yeah.
How do you get beautiful content like that without hiring a production crew and spending all this money? And
yeah, and you'll be surprised. I don't know if I can you share screen in here?
Yeah, you're gonna break my. Let me see what happens here. Oh yeah, you broke my.
Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, well, we'll do this for a second. Okay, so yeah, so what I've got is I want to show you guys one post here. Can you see this?
Everett, we can see. We can't see your post. We just.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So this was just a tweet. So you talk about like, this was a tweet. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is the most reach I've ever got from an Instagram post. And out of all those beautiful carousels and videos, think about this. I got videos with Gary Vee, and this tweet outperformed the video. Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry. Because I love that you're doing this. Keep going.
Production value doesn't matter. Okay. So don't worry about the optics. I have a passion for things that look cool. So I put a little bit more effort into it, but it doesn't mean that means it's more successful. That just means that I like it to look that way. That's my preference, but that's not going to be why it's successful. So if you look at this post, this was a thought I had one day. I was sitting here and everybody was super negative on the media and everyone was super negative on Facebook. And I was like, look, guys, what you focus on grows. Like, it's a simple thing. And I basically said, don't watch the news because it's going to kill your mindset. And that's all I said. It was just a thought I shared. And I was like, oh shit. I tweeted that, screenshotted it, and shared it on Instagram, and it reached 10,000 people in that day. And I was like, and half of those people weren't following me, by the way. So I don't know what happened, but a lot of people started engaging with it, and it was a thought that resonated with people, and it took off. So I just wanted to show that to you guys because it's kind of like it shows that the quality doesn't matter. But what I found was like, this is a I'll show you guys.
That one was amazing, dude.
That's a part about squeezing content. But I'll show you this. This is one I just recently posted, and it was about the housing market. And it was saying, is the housing market going to crash? And there was a lot of clients were asking me this. So this is where I get most of my topics. It's either business partners, coworkers, or clients are asking these questions a lot. You could find it on Google Trends if you want, or you could take real data from the questions you're getting on your email, in your DMs, in your phone. So this was one I just got, and I thought, how could I share this real quick? So I just wrote down my thoughts, and then I put it into this image post. And what happens is when you're on the platform and you see this, if I just said, "Is the housing market going to crash? Look at my ideas," it's not going to stop your thumb. So you think about people on Instagram, their thumb is going up and down on the platform. They're feeding. I need to stop the thumb somehow. So I said, let me take a picture with my cell phone. You don't have to get a photographer. Yeah. I just made the, oh shit, Home Alone face. Yeah. Okay. Whatever that is. I don't know. And I said, is the housing market going to crash? And because this is kind of like catchy or like may stop, I have a better chance of stopping your thumb if I use that image. So try and do things that would, so that's how I got people to stop on this. And this is a great performing post that I got a bunch of business from because it answered a question that many consumers have, and it answered a question that many realtors are getting asked by their clients. So they think they could share this with their clientele.
I love so much that you just shared that your most the most reach you've had at a post is a picture of a tweet. It's just destroying people's excuses right now, which I always love, because the real excuse is we're just afraid of being rejected or being, not having our, that's the real issue. And so we say things like, I can't make beautiful content. And then Neil's like, my best piece is a picture of a tweet.
I don't know why, dude. I can't explain it. But what I will tell you is that mix it up, because don't say no for the audience. It'd be like me asking you, Alec, hey, can we jump on a podcast? But it's okay if you don't want to do it. I understand you're really big. Like, you would never say no in the same, sentence. So that's what people are saying. They're like, I have this idea to post, but nobody's going to like it. And then they don't post it. So I had the idea to post it, and I just posted it. You're not offending anybody by posting it. You're not, I guess you could offend, but if it's a general, if it's your own genuine thoughts or your own genuine advice, you're not offending anybody. If somebody doesn't like it, they'll just keep the thumb going, Big deal.
So, okay. So let's do this. If you guys have questions, we got 12 minutes left on this with Neil. Please go check out his handles. By the way, one of the best things you can do if you're learning these new games, guys, is just to go follow people like Neil and just pay attention. Like, just what are they doing and how is it working? And like, that's how people learn.
And to your point, Alec, that's how I learned. Gary Vee always says this: watch what I do, not what I say, right? So he says, or he does in his videos, he takes the most impactful clip or the most impactful thing in the video and puts it to the front of the video. So if you ever watch any of his micro content, or many creators do this nowadays as well, you'll watch the video comes up in your feed, and it's him saying something that was kind of polarizing, or him saying something that was catchy, or whatever the most important thing of the piece was. And then it goes into the video. So I started doing that, and it greatly increased my reach on the videos, because what I'm saying is, on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, when you post a video, the intent of the user is to watch a video. So they stop on your video and they're going to watch it, and they'll give you some time. On Instagram, they're not going to give you that time. No. So if the most important part is like 47 seconds in, they're probably just going to keep scrolling. They'll never get to see it. Very few will see it. I mean, some people that want to watch your stuff, they'll see it, but everybody else who's new to you won't see it, or if who's busy. So if you put that to the front, you just all of a sudden get more reach on the video. So I started doing that. That's a great example of like, just take the idea like from somebody else and try it in your own. And then if it doesn't work, try it again. So that was done with the simple video editing app that I use on my phone. It's called InShot. You can do this stuff with your own apps that are free, either on your PC, Mac, or phone.
So here's a question, and this will be a good like wind down for the next 10 minutes as we kind of get to the close of Instagram. You got a brand new person, doesn't have an Instagram account, and feels like I need to be in that space. Number one, do you tell them to go in? So do you say, yeah, you need to be in there or not, right? So that's one question I want you to ask. And then piggybacking off this one, how do you start building that initial audience? You've hit that a couple times in our 20 minutes already, but just let's land the whole thing on like 101. Get in. What do you do?
Okay, so first, I would get on the platform. Yes, optimize your bio. Okay, so if somebody lands on your page, your bio page, what does it say? Who are you? Okay,
Nice.
Why should I follow you? Okay, because so in my case, I would say, here's who I am. Here's what I'm passionate about. Here's what I do for a living. Don't just self-promote, but just say like, what would be in it for me as someone to follow you. So create that. I would say to have an image of yourself that is going to catch somebody's attention. That's actually shows your face and is happy. Some people use like a logo. Of a company or something that is not personal. We're only going to follow people on here. We're not necessarily going to follow companies. No. So I would use that. So put yourself out there and optimize your bio. Then create a few pieces of content. Just posts. It could be pictures. It could be carousels. It could be like we just said, a tweet, a screenshot of a tweet. It could be a quick video, whatever. So post those. Okay. And then what I would start doing is engaging with others. So go to your client, follow all your past clients and friends and people in the industry that you like, and all that stuff, and start engaging with them, liking, commenting on their content. I would for me, I spend like probably an hour, in the beginning of the day. Now it's down because we're so busy with day-to-day stuff that I may only have 10 or 15 minutes, but just spend a little bit of time each day engaging with other people's content. And then go into like your friends and colleagues and go into those people's go into their friends and engage with them, right? Because that's connected.
Gold. That's gold. People are going to miss all that. So I'm going to echo it again. Number one is just start engaging with people authentically with comments, thoughtful comments, like be a part of the conversation, and then go to, the friends of your friends, and you can pull their list up and find who they are and start connecting. And so Matt has a great question from YouTube. Should this be a business account or should this be like your personal Instagram?
So I would convert it to a business account because it's not going to diminish your reach, but it gives you additional tools and analytics. It gives you the ability to promote and run ads. It gives you the ability to see all this backside analytics that are not available to a personal account. And be sure, I forgot about this, make sure your account is public, because if it's private, you can't do that. I mean, I see people all day on here private, and then you're not going to like, you can't see any of the posts. You can't see anything. It says private. So, I mean, I ask people and they're like, well, I do that because it's private to me. It's my family. That's fine. Create a separate account maybe if you want to not share family stuff. You do whatever you want to do. But for your account where you're going to try and build your personal brand, it's got to be public.
So there you have it, guys. I mean, if you're going to play in the space where the people are, they're in Instagram. Neil's been very clear. It's radically transformed, not only in uplifting his personal brand and bringing him up to a new level where actually customers and realtors are like, Neil, can you help me? But, he's given you the roadmap, which is make it a business, get the analytics, and then make it about them, start engaging other people. You have any final advice, brother, for anybody that's curious?
And you brought this up earlier, Alec, and this, many people have asked us, how do you create this type of content? Okay, so if you're busy in the mortgage business right now, you're probably making a good amount of money, right? Is it okay if this month you take a little bit of that money and you hire someone to help you with this stuff? Is that acceptable if you just take home a little bit less money? Maybe we can't I don't know, maybe we will hoard a little bit less this month. So I think there's a lot of business out there. So if you're doing a lot of business, spend a little bit on this, because this is important. Like many times we're hoarding all this money. We take all the money out and we hoard it. For what? We're scared to invest in our business, in our personal brand, because we don't know what the ROI is going to be. So we don't do it. So I would tell people, look, go on Upwork. You want a graphics designer? Go on Upwork and look up graphics designer for social. There are people where you can hire them for like couple $100 a month to help you create those. I don't know anything about Photoshop. You think I create those? I can't do them. So what I do is I write down my idea. I give them some pictures that I took, and I say, could you make this look cool? Here's my idea. And then I get the next day in my inbox, I have a post ready. So leverage people to help you with where you're deficient. I'm not great at video editing, but I know video editors are everywhere on Fiverr and on Upwork. So pay someone to help you edit the video, and then scale. That allows you to scale. So I think in the beginning you could do it all yourself. I did it all myself in the very beginning. I use tools like Canva and these free apps. And then as you want to start increasing the quality, if that's something you want to do, then you can have independent contractors help you, and it's actually quite affordable. I would say people think it's super expensive to have that. It's not. It's very cheap.
So you're just blowing up excuses. Like blowing it up, showing that your tweet was like one of your biggest reaching things. You don't need to have this, higher produced stuff, but you can go to Fiverr and Upwork and you can find all these resources and spend some money, invest in it because it's important. And so I want to end with this. The very first thing you talked about, because the excuses are really, I'm just afraid. Because it's not about knowledge. Knowledge is at the literal tip of our fingers. We have all of human knowledge. So it's not knowledge. It's that I'm afraid, I'm insecure, I'm nervous, whatever it is. And you pushed through it. You figured out how to post when no one was responding. I want to go back into that space where you were when you first started your account 2 years ago and you were getting crickets. What was your motivation to keep going?
It's if you create something that is going to help somebody else. So before you post it, think, what would somebody get out of this? Mm-hmm. Even if you just have all your close friends and your family following, they will engage with that and they will share it. Okay. And you'll be introduced to somebody. So when I saw the first couple people say, hey man, this really helped me. Thanks for sharing this. Please do more of this. Or I got that first DM where someone's like, hey, I saw this. Could you help me with this? Or had questions. I think that's when I was like, oh shit, this works. And now it gives you the motivation to go on. So if you put out something that would help somebody, even if you have a small audience, it's going to resonate with people. And then you'll start to see results, and that will motivate you to do more and more and more. But if you don't ever put out anything that's going to help and it's all about you, nobody's going to really engage, and then you're probably going to quit. So I think first, fix that issue first, and then you'll start to find your own motivation to move forward.
Dude, thank you. You guys, if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all of his handles, all of his connections, YouTube channel, all of his Facebook, all of his Instagrams right there, connect in with Neil, find out what he's doing, because he's doing really, really cool stuff. Hey, Neil, I got my producer Mikey's telling me, getting mad at me, that I have to do a selfie for the gram.
All right.
Or else I'm not on the gram.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one as well. We got to do it. Yeah, we're talking about content creation. This is the piece of content, right? So, thanks so much for doing this, Alec. I really appreciate it, man.
No, man. 3 minutes. Any final words of wisdom and advice? What do you got?
I would just say, look, guys, if you're in the industry, there's a lot of things you hate about your job. There's a lot of things you love and there's a lot of things you hate. The things that you don't like about your job, this will solve that. Okay. So everything that bothers you, the being treated like a commodity, being commoditized, people grinding you on interest rates or price or commission or whatever, this will solve it. Trust me, because this will have people value you, and it makes your job much more enjoyable. And to me, it's giving me, I was getting burnt out, and it's giving me a whole new motivation to keep going.
Dude, I love that. That is so good. That's so true. And right now, the opportunity has never been more ripe. It's time.
Big time.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the COLLAB, man.
Thank you so much.
Today. Talk to you. See you on the internet.
All right, buddy.
Later, buddy. Whoo! I don't know why I did this. This is too long. I'm already dying. We've only done 2 sessions, and I'm killing myself. But it's okay. We're gonna rock this thing now, guys. We're gonna bring on Ryan and Jessica Eller now. These guys, this team has rocked my world, because I was like playing in video, and now I'm realizing like I was a kindergartner with an iPhone, like trying to figure it out. But what I love about these guys is they tell tremendously cool stories. They self-taught. They generated all this fun stuff. And they put out tons of amazing content. So I'm going to bring them on right now. Let's get them introduced. Where are they? Where are they? Here we go.
What's up, everybody? As we move on to our third session, the video masterclass, nobody is better equipped to lead us than this guy, Ryan Eller. Now, hopefully, we'll have his wife Jessica with us as well, because she's obviously the brains of the operation and the looks. But these two people have been absolutely changing the face of video. I'm so impressed, not only with their creativity, but it's all self-taught. And they're communicating their language and their mission and their ethos through video, and they're creating human engagement, and they're generating tons of business. So let's bring on the master for a video masterclass.
Woo! Yeah.
Hey, what's going on?
Dude,
Hi.
I can't. It's like this, interviewing the most beautiful people in mortgage. That should be our topic today. Is like this power couple that crushes content and just is amazing. So thank you guys, Jessica. I'm so excited you're here. Like,
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
this is so cool. So, man, let's crack this thing wide open, because what I've loved about what you guys do in our space is you just went all in on video. You just went all in on video, and you do it in such a cool way. And I want to frame this up first, because I'm a big proponent of not overproducing your content, because I believe that people lose their authentic voice when they become scripted and they hire agencies and they try to overdo everything. And I'm like, don't do that. Just like, please, like, be a human. And then all of a sudden I saw you guys' stuff and I'm like, oh, they're doing both. They're doing both. Like, they're making and they're making it beautiful, and they're being authentic, and they're sharing their hearts, and you can like really get to know who they are. And I know it's radically changed your business, how you operate. It's given you lots of control over your destiny. Like, how much business do I want to get, and how much should I have work-life balance? And so I want you guys to share how'd you get in the mortgage space? What was that journey like? And then what was the pivot like for you when you decided to go all in on video? And let's start there.
Yeah, so we used to own a gym, and I know you as well understand that, right? So we did that for about a decade, and one of our long-term clients was in mortgages. And he goes, guys, you have a little building behind a building with no sign, and you have this place packed. Like, if you took your marketing skills and applied it to mortgage, it would change your life and your family's life. And literally a month later, I passed the mortgage test, and that's kind of how it started. Like, once I make a decision, it's just like I can pivot like that if I have to.
So Jessica, did you just get pulled in behind that, or what happened? How did you? Because you're huge in this space.
Yeah. So I actually kept the gym going for a couple of years while he was in loans, and then we closed it down, and I was just going to stay at home with the kids, and I got bored. So I went on just to help him, like, as an assistant. And I was like, oh, I can do this too. Let's double down. Yeah. And the first thing we did was that superhero video, just for fun. And that's really kind of what the major pivot was.
The superhero video is near and dear to my heart. So share what you did and the idea behind it and why you did it. Because it was, I could see maybe like, oh, could this be cheesy? How's it gonna be received? Like, who came up with it, and what? Tell everybody what you did.
We were just brainstorming, just sitting there like, hey, what can we do that would be fun and witty and just throw it out there?
And we already had the costumes from Halloween. So we went with that. Like, we have Superman and Wonder Woman. What can we do with it? Okay, we'll be the superheroes of mortgage. What are, some common problems? And it really took off from there.
And it took 50 hours to produce and edit and finish up. So it was an endeavor.
Yeah.
So speaking about producing, how did you get into, like, how did you learn to make your videos as great as they are? Like, how did you learn this?
YouTube.
So when we opened the gym, I started doing just basic videos all the time. Like, I liked video. I wanted to be part of it. And so I would just YouTube. And really what took my skill from like okay to really good was watching Casey Neistat. I don't know if you know him from YouTube. Yep. And I challenged myself to do 90 days of a vlog every day. And I would literally shoot all day while working and then edit until 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And I did that for 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, so
It was brutal.
Huh?
It was brutal.
It was brutal.
Well, I mean, look, if you're going to learn a new skill and you're going to learn it, it's going to be hard, right? And if you want differentiation, if you want to show up differently, then you're going to have to like step into it and like do hard shit. And that's what's, self-evident what you guys did. But like when you're going to do a video, what's your process? And by the way, share with everybody how much of your business comes from, video and social media. So I think they
100%.
need to pick up on that. Yeah. Well,
100% has either come from it or we've made connections or people are reminded of us. I can literally this is what Jessica does. And it's kind of funny. No matter what we're doing, she takes all of our money and she hoards it and hides it from me and then goes, hey, look at the bank account. We're broke. And I go, what? And then I get going and I'll go out and put a video and then instantly we'll see a return. And once that started happening, then that's kind of been our flow is we would say, okay, what are the gaps? What are people needing? What are they missing? What don't they understand? And how can we make it in a fun, exciting, entertaining way and not be douchey and salesy in the process and just be ourselves?
Yeah, because mortgages are boring. Like they just are. Mortgages are boring. And we have to do whatever we can to make people interested and still answer their questions.
Educate them on stuff that we know they need. But if I just went there and was sitting at my desk and talking about interest rates or down payments.
Cares. And they don't understand.
Yeah. So we try to put it into stories and just make it simple for people. And I want to mention this. What really changed things for us is when we started being our authentic selves.
Yes. So like, when did that aha moment come? Like, what was the experience? What do you remember from that? Because that is so missed. There are some people who believe, and Jessica, you just hit this too. Like, you've got to be super professional. Like, you can't have humor in your stuff, or else that's going to pull your brand down, and people are not going to respect it, and blah blah. And so I think people are trying to overdress their content, suit and tie it. How did this aha moment come? What was it like, and how did it change your business?
No, we did the one that we did upstairs. So we did a video where we had it scripted out. We were sitting on the couch and we thought we were like spitting fire. We're like, this is awesome. And then we watched the playback and we're like, this is garbage. I wouldn't even watch it.
No energy.
There's no energy. It was boring. And that's when we decided that we had to come up with a different method of delivery.
And then one day, I just started posting stuff about like my mountain biking and my hobbies and kind of tied in what we do into it. And it just blew up. And we're like, oh, that's the sauce, is we tie in our personal lives and who we are and our personality. And like, I'm a goofball. And Jessica likes to egg me on. Like, if you guys were recording what was happening in the background before you brought us on here, people would have been dying.
Yeah.
Like, we're always like messing with each other. And
I was watching. I was like, oh, they're muted, but something's happening over there because they're
we're like poking each other, like pushing each other. And so literally, when we started doing videos together, she would cry about 5 times during it because she was so scared and she hated it. And then once she started loosening up. Then we started just kind of bantering and using that playfulness and like how we act with each other in real life. And we just started just being ourselves and just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Jessica, share that experience, please, of like the emotion of going through this, because you're putting yourself out there. Both of you guys put yourself out there in radical ways. And like, that can be really intimidating. And just what I was talking to Neil, it stops people from getting out and like getting success and having their influence matter. Like, walk people through your experience on that and how you dealt with it and how you got through it.
Yeah, it was actually years. So like he had said, we were shooting video in the gym and I would avoid it at all costs because no matter what, no matter how confident I was in the material, I would still, like, I was so paralyzed by fear. I would just break down. I would start crying at some point. And then once you start crying, it's over. You're done. You have to try again another day. So I think, like he said, the playfulness is what really changed everything because we stopped rehearsing. We stopped going over and scripting.
Yeah.
Bullet points and then shoot from the hip.
Moment. Like, that's a big moment in personal development, and people are struggling with that.
Yeah.
So you just stopped, or did you have like we need to stop, or did you just say one day it just organically?
I kept telling her, I was like, you got to stop writing it out. Like she will write out
I will
every
write
word.
paragraphs.
And then it was just paralyzing her. And I was like, who cares if you mess up? Like, especially if it's not live, like we'll do it 10 times, 20 times if we have to. But usually when we do it, unless like somebody walks in front of the camera, which has happened before,
the first shot
when
now.
we're out and about, it's the first go. We just go and just riff it.
Yeah, and that really was the game changer. Once we saw that kind of scripted video and how bad it was, we just decided to do bullet points, shoot from the hip, talk to each other. Even though we're looking at the camera, we're having a conversation together, and everything changed.
And we usually always have props in our hands, which kind of helps with like the fidgeting. Like you're not fidgeting because you're holding these props, and so you're just kind of holding them there and stuff. And
I have my little like nut and bolt thing that I fidget all the time. I'm just like.
So we have a "Don't Be a Sucker" video where it says the 6 home buying mistakes or whatever, and we're holding these suckers. And so we have those props. When we did our veteran one, we had our American flags, and those props just kind of keep us from like fidgeting and stuff on camera.
Dude, I love the journey. I love the fact that you went through the scriptedness and realizing that was bullshit. And then you went through the hardness of, just ripping the Band-Aid off and going, we just got to go in authentically. We just got to go in like unscripted, one take. And that 100% of your business comes from this effort.
Yes.
Which is so empowering. Like I really want people to hear that, because that's available to so many people that they can just take control of their destiny so much and put out the messaging you want. And so how do you balance, you said this before, I asked you that, I want you to lean into it again. How do you find content that you're going to talk about?
I come up with a lot of the content, and it sparks by either seeing something on Instagram or a video.
Questions we get.
So I actually have a list. When I get questions from borrowers, I have a list in my planner so that I can refer back to that when we're making a video. And so, for example, like the Angel Devil video, that was actually a Saturday Night Live skit. It was about food. Like they were talking about eating, but I liked the concept of that and thought, okay, what can we do to apply this to mortgage and make it interesting? Then I looked through my list of repeated questions, and we kind of just put it together and went from there. So that's how most of our videos and content, what it comes from.
And then I was like, okay, we need to shoot 3 or 4 different angles. And she was like, why? And I was like, just trust me, we're going to do it. And I repeat myself and I do these things in different angles so that I have more pieces to work with in post. And then we had the most ghetto rig green screen you could imagine. I had a piece of green paper because I didn't have a green screen yet. We taped it to the wall, opened up all the windows, grabbed every little light that I had, and we just made it work.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. By the way, for those of you that just want nerdy tricks on green screen stuff, have you guys zoomed yourself yet? Where you make yourself the Zoom background, and then you can walk in on yourself while you're sitting at the desk?
I haven't done that.
Old money. So I want to go back. We're about halfway through, but I don't want people to miss this part, Ryan. How did you said YouTube and how you educated yourself, but I want you to really unpack the process. If somebody's like, because I can tell that you enjoy it, even though it's hard work. Like I can see it in your content. I can see that like, oh, he made this because he likes this.
Yes.
Like he's not making this to try to prove a point to somebody. He's making this because this is an expression of him.
Yes.
And that's why you don't lose your authentic voice in your messaging, which I love. So if there are people who are going to nerd out on video editing, nerd out on Photoshop and blah, 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 really tell everybody your process. Like go through it again. Like how did you start into it? Where did you go? And how, I want people to hear your story on this.
Hundreds of hours of binging YouTube because I told myself I was working.
It's not wrong.
So I would just go on YouTube and just find like how to edit on Photoshop, how to edit on Final Cut Pro or whatever editor, I was using. And then as you learn the basics, you start to see these little tricks that some of these guys do. And you go, oh, now I know the verbiage for like, tracking and motion and things like that. And then I'll dig deeper how to do this. And then sometimes you'll have to watch 3 or 4 different tutorials to find the one that works for what you're trying to do. And then I just mirror it. And then over time, you learn your own little tricks and your own little techniques that you add to it, plugins. Like I've bought, I don't know, thousands of dollars worth of plugins for my video editor to speed things up. Yeah. So it's like all the wording that pops up and does all that. Those are all plugins. I didn't build that from scratch. Like all the tracking software, that's a plugin, or I'll buy another program that does it easier for me. Like whatever it takes to like speed it up, then that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm. And you said about 2 years.
I've been doing it for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
So that overwhelming. That can overwhelm somebody who goes, oh crap, I can't do that.
But let's go back to that when I did those a video a day, my skills skyrocketed. Like that really is what took it to the next level. Cause I was constantly like, I had an idea and I was like, well, I want to do that. And I didn't know how to do it. So then I'd have to go watch the YouTube video before you shoot it. Cause you have to know how you're supposed to frame the shot. So I watched the video. Okay, here's how you have to do it. Then I go and shoot all day, try to make that work. And then sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. And then I would just have to try it again the next day. Like, have you seen the refi one that I did where I tripled myself and I was on my mountain bike doing a wheelie?
Yes, that was incredible. I was so jealous because I can't make anything like that.
She was so mad at me because I had no help. So I went out there, set up my camera, and I'm not really good at wheeling on the bike. So I literally I had 100 takes and then I nailed it. And I go in and my framing was wrong with the camera. So I had to go out the next day, do it again. The framing was wrong with the camera. So the third day I did it again and finally got it. And it was probably a total of 200 or 300 takes between 3 days. And she was like, are you just going to give it up? And I was like,
never.
No,
never.
So I'm literally rendering it as we're leaving for vacation. And she was like, let's go. Like I had to like hit the button and walk out the door to go on vacation. Like I get obsessed about these things.
But so I want to share a couple things for everyone paying attention to this. Like, first of all, I love the rawness of Rhino with the 100 takes, because there are people that have done 100 takes on their iPhone trying to get like one minute video out. So like people connect with that. They understand like there's effort there, but clearly you get better over time. If you practice consistently, you get better every day. And then all of a sudden you hit this breakthrough point. And it sounds like you guys, I'm loving hearing your story because these breakthrough points come. And now, you know, there's no lack of content. Like Jessica, I bet your book is full. You have content for months and years. You know, you break through and now you can control your own destiny. And so, you know, there's never going to be going back. Where are you guys going in the future? And Ryan, you and I talked offline about this, and I love it because I want people to hear it. Like, where do you go with this now?
So here's the one thing that I want to get the point across is making money is awesome, but having that purpose of trying to like help people and educate them is really kind of what keeps driving us. And just saying like, how can we make this better and reach more people and help more people from being taken advantage of from, you know,
bad decisions. Yep.
The closer you get to money, who controls the money, the shadier people become, unfortunately. You know, so if you think of where we're at and then you go next level and people are, you know, stockbrokers and doing shady, underhanded things, that we want to educate and be extremely transparent with our community so that they have the knowledge. It doesn't mean that all of them are going to use us, but at least that we did our part in educating. It's just like being a personal trainer. You give people the information, you give them the tools, you give them the plan, and then it's up to them to make that final call. And that's how we look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love for you both to also share your thoughts on your more, I want to say underproduced, but like your more organic content, you know, so like the selfie stick and walking through your neighborhood. I mean, I've seen a bunch of videos from that stuff where I'm like, oh, you know, they're coming down from the really super produced content and they're making, you know, just really like I'm down the street, like I'm a human.
Yeah.
You know, so share with everybody how that has landed in your efforts, what kind of connection that makes, business opportunities when it's just more organic.
The organic stuff in terms of turning content into business, hands down works the best.
Yeah.
But would I have the eyeballs if I didn't do the produced stuff? That's a chicken or the egg question. So we enjoy doing the produced and we think it does attract a lot of attention to our brand. Yeah. But the down and dirty, like my favorite camera right now is a GoPro Hero 8 on a selfie stick, super clean audio, super stable. It's just an amazing tool. And then Jessica does her car videos.
Yeah. So the car video started because my kids were on spring break and they don't they're not ever quiet. So I just went in my car and shot a video with my cell phone. And then coronavirus, they're still here. They're still here. So the quietest place is my car. So I go in my car. I don't even edit the video, first take, and people love it. People share it. And it's because they know that everything that I'm saying is coming from my heart. It's 100% authentic. Yeah. And even if I'm no makeup, sweatshirt, hair up, they connect with me more that way than like this.
Yeah, we let our community and our audience see us like our friends would see us. You know, if we're in a workout close some days.
That is so good, Ryan, Jessica. That is so. I hope everyone hears that a million times over, because you're not, you don't stunt double your life. Like, you guys are just being humans.
Yes,
and that reaches so much deeper. So let's do this. We got 10 minutes left, guys. If there's questions, throw them in here. We'll throw them up on the screen and get these guys answering questions. But I want to have you guys, if you had a brand new loan officer who's never done video, who's like, I'm ready to go. I saw this thing with Jessica and Ryan, and I'm like, I'm in, you know, and they're sitting in front of you for your advice. What do you tell them to do? How do you set them up for success? And
number one thing is, don't worry about the equipment. I'm an equipment nerd, and it slowed my progress down substantially, worrying about what I'm using. If you have a cell phone, use your cell phone, get a ring light, so that because lighting is key. Having good light is important, and having good audio is important, but it doesn't have to be expensive. So get a ring light and get a wired lapel mic that you can plug into your phone. And those two things will take your quality above probably 90% of people out there. And then just start putting it out. Just like Jessica said, when she was afraid, you know, what got her past being afraid? Keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Another thing that I would say is, when I see new loan officers, they do it all the time. They're talking so far above everybody's heads because they want to sound smart.
Yeah.
But that's not what people are going to connect with. People don't want to be talked at. They want to be talked to. So you have to explain things like you're talking to your friend.
So good. So good.
Yeah. So those things is frequently asked questions. Go after those videos first. Talk about the things that you know about. And what's worked for me is try to take a scenario in mortgage and relate it to something that you're an expert in. So like for me, like mountain biking, fitness. So I'll say, you know, we had somebody had this challenge. It's a lot like if you have this challenge, and then it kind of just shows people the path. If they don't really understand a complicated, you know, situation, you can make it to where more people will understand what you're saying.
What has been some of your most successful videos in your opinion? You know, if you had a top 3 most successful, and by the way, go ahead and define successful any way you want. It could be how many deals you got from it, or just it's what everyone remembers and it built brand for you. Like, what do you think your top 3 are? And I want people to hear kind of your take on it.
The bike one got so many refis. It was insane. It was like, I was extremely overwhelmed by how much business.
You were a little bit like, you give him a little bit of grace back after you beat the crap out of him for how long it took to do the bike one.
That's how it always goes. He always makes me like eat my words.
Because when we find a winner, we put money behind it.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we're going to go in the future is, you know, the more we grow, the more we can expand our reach with advertising, the more people we can, you know, help out and see our stuff.
100%. Okay. So we got the bike one.
Superhero.
Oh yeah, those, all the produced ones, but it's because we put money behind those ones. Right. So it's hard to say, like, you know, our organic ones, we still get a huge amount of inquiries. Like, I did one on forbearance, like right when coronavirus happened, just sitting in my car in my sweatshirt before I was going to go to the gym. And I had, I don't know, 10 people message me asking me questions and people sharing it. And, you know, people came up to me and they're like, thank you so much for that video. So even if it didn't, you know, bring in a whole bunch of leads at that time, so many people were interested in it and appreciative of it that they're going to remember me down the road.
Yeah. And two more things before we end, make sure we get it, is doing this shirt has changed our business, because now I don't have to say I do mortgages. People just know.
By the way, I love that that's such a little thing, and yet it becomes such a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we did it just for fun for a conference that we were going to, and it blew up. Everybody loved it. It was a huge thing.
Every time I wear it out, which is almost every day, I have Like I have to order more.
You got like it's all like, oh, I lost your video. Come back. Oh no. Someone kicked the cord. By the way, if you're getting value out of this, guys, please find Jessica and Ryan and connect with these guys on the internet. Like I said before with Neil, when you find people who are doing incredible things, learn from them. I have learned so much from watching Ryan and Jessica dominate their video space. I'm laughing with them. I've seen all their stuff. I'm a super big fan of their stuff. See if we can get them back on here in a sec. They just do a really great work. So we got disconnected from services. If they can come back in the next 5 minutes, we'll bring them back. Because I really want you guys to hear this. And I was going to try to pull Jessica into this and have her share more about it. And obviously she'll do that if we can get her back. But man, fear. Like she was so honest and authentic that like she was crying doing videos and trying to push through the bullshit that is holding us back from putting our authentic self out there. And now all of a sudden you look at it and you see what they're doing and you're like, holy crap. Holy crap. Their whole lives, their whole trajectory of their business has changed. And I am like, this is insane. This is incredible. I'm sending them a text, let them know I love them. It's one of those things. So yes, my friends.
Hey, cell phone.
By the way, I got my green screen hanging behind me here. I can be as cool as you guys one day. You guys are amazing. So do this, Jessica. I know you couldn't hear me on this, but I was bragging about you, and I talked about this with Neil and everybody else. Man, fear is crippling. It's so crippling. And you were so vulnerable and honest, being like, I would cry. I was frustrated. I was angry and I couldn't get through it. I'd ruin the day. I'd have to film the next day. And I just, for the next couple minutes as we wind down here, I want you to share more about that so that other people, they're in the exact same place. They are in the exact same place as you. Yeah. And they're paralyzed, they're sad, they're frustrated. And so, I mean, just go back there and share how you got through that, what happened in it. Because right now, like, it's so fun to see you guys now. Like you're animals. You just kill it. You have such fun. I can see that. Like I can see the energy, the positivity, but it wasn't always like that. And so please share.
Yeah. It's still not like that. So even before coming on today, my heart was pounding. And this is just a live type of thing. I'm an extreme introvert. And you wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell from our content, but it was just continually pushing myself out of my comfort zone because, the magic happens outside of your comfort zone. And failure is going to happen no matter what you do. And you just have to keep pushing past it if you want to get where you want to go. So you just have to push your shit aside and just put yourself out there and see what happens.
I mean, just look at what happened right now. Like our main camera died. We just pulled up the cell phone. Yeah. Plan A doesn't work. Just go to plan B because getting out there is the most important thing. We talked about what's your best video. The best video is the next one you make. That's the thing. It really is true. It really is true. Yeah. Just keep pumping it out there. Just keep going because it's an accumulative effect. There's not one video that was a magic bullet for us.
Yeah.
I love it.
If we would have just stopped at the superhero video, we wouldn't be where we are. No. So even though it was extremely successful, if you stop, if you don't keep going, you're not going to go anywhere.
Dude, I love you guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being authentic. Thank you for helping lead the industry and doing cool stuff that people can follow behind. Thank you for sharing your story. I know for a fact as we release, there's a bunch of people watching now, but as we release this and other people get to see it in the past, they're going to be like, hopefully it'll be the one that pushes them through.
I hope so. Thanks for having us on.
That.
All right, guys, you rock. Have a wonderful day.
See you guys.
Man, I love that. That is just like the core of our business right there. Video dies, craziness happens, and you just keep rolling. You just keep rolling because that's what humans do, and I love those guys. So please follow them. Okay, we're going to pivot a little bit here. We're going to go into leading a digital community, which is probably the most important topic we're dealing with right now because we're like stuck being digital. Like this is we can't do what we used to do, man. We can't go hang out and some of us are doing it, and I'm watching you with no masks. But I'm thrilled for this next guy. Scott Groves has been somebody who I've followed in this business for a long time. I've watched what he's done. I've been a super big fan, and I've been most impressed with how this guy pours into digital communities, into Facebook groups to drive connection, to drive value. And let's get on what it's done to his business. Let's bring him on and talk about what it's done for his life. And let's see whose beard is better.
All right, friends and professionals, in our next topic, leading a digital community. Man, nothing could be more important right now than your ability to lead a digital community in this land where everything's digital. And this guy, Scott Groves, has been a huge leader of that, leveraging Facebook groups and building massive amounts of influence with the people he wants to online. He's going to share all his secrets with you. Let's bring on Scott Groves, leading a digital community.
Yo, whoa, that was like a real intro.
Bro,
you were like doing some big boy shit on here.
I green screened that. Like I had like, oh man, I'm so proud of my little intro.
Some good stuff, bro. Congratulations.
See, I see you're trimming, man. You're keeping it clean and tight now. There's been a couple of videos where I was like, oh, I think he's lost it.
Bro, I got this all cut and trimmed just for you. No, that's a lie. I got it for my wife. She said she wasn't going to make out with me until I clean this stuff up. So, yeah, you've motivated me to put in the facial hair. I can see my neck again, but luckily I'm still hiding the double chin. So life is good.
So, guys, for those of you who don't know Scott, this guy is just a leader of people. He's been pushing positivity, pushing connection, driving some of the biggest Facebook groups I've seen and been a part of. And I'd like to, in a minute, I'll have you break down what that means, Scott, and why you did that and all that stuff. But, you know, you're a coach, you're a loan professional, you're a leader of people, you know, husband, father, all that fun stuff. And I just think you're the man. So I think this is a really cool topic for the next 30 minutes on leading a digital community. I think that's hard. I think it's a new skill set. And I think you're one of the pioneers in it from my perspective. And so as we start, I want to ask some kind of queue up questions. Why did you start doing this? Like, why did you start building groups and creating connection? How do you continue to pour into it like you do? Because you just feed it all the time. You're always there contributing. And then what has it done for your life and business? And before you go, guys, I'm dropping in the comments right now on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, all of Scott's handles, his book, which is incredible. It's on my stand. You guys need to connect with this guy and see what he's doing. Like I said before, connect with great people and you get to learn what they're doing. So Scott, how's it going, dude?
It's going well, man. Thanks. I appreciate this. And this is a crazy world we live in where like, this is the new normal, you know, for 20 years, professionals, loan managers, everybody's been telling me like, just have a candy bowl on your desk at the real estate office and go to the coffee appointments and everything will be fine. And now it's like, no, now you need to know how to do this digital stuff. And I'm already got my assistant. I'm like, dude, check out StreamYard. I like how they're doing stuff. I got to get something similar to that. So one, it's super exciting. Two, it's, let's be real, super dangerous because all loan officers and most salespeople have shiny object syndrome. So I could totally blow off the rest of the day learning how to use StreamYard. And that's probably not the best plan for my realtors and my clients. But yeah, it's a brave new world, right? I think I read that somewhere once.
You think you did. So you started building Facebook group communities. What made you do that? Like, why were you like, I'm gonna put time into this?
Yeah.
And then, you know, your latest one, Generate, is incredibly cool. Like, I'm watching it all the time and people are just networking and growing. And so what has the effect been? Like, walk us through the process.
Yeah, so I got to give a big shout out to my friend, Hal Elrod. And Hal Elrod is the author of the book, The Miracle Morning. And about 6 years ago, through pure dumb luck, I ended up at one of his live events. It was actually the first live event that he had ever done. And it's because he had created this community on Facebook of people that had read the book, The Miracle Morning, and they were looking for some accountability partners. And I think way back then, he probably had 5, 6, maybe 10,000 people in that group. Now it's up to 250,000 people.
Jeez.
And one of the things that Hal said is he said, you know, there's a guy named Dan Kennedy who's written a bunch of books called the No BS series. So like the No BS marketing, the No BS management. And Dan said, and Hal echoed this, he said, at some point in the future, the size of your database is going to be more important than the quality of your work. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because we're all very proud of the hard work that we put in. But just to clarify, Alec, we're primarily talking to loan officers here, right?
Likely.
Okay, so
I don't have a big reach elsewhere.
yeah, and there you go. So let's say, for example, a new VA construction to perm product comes out, and Alec is a better loan officer than I am. He's kept in touch with his clients better than I have. He services his clients at a higher level. They remember his name, and so his database is 500 people of clients that really love and respect him. He's crushing. And let's just say, like, I've done a good job, but not a great job. I've got the job done, but I didn't leave everybody with this wow feeling. But I've got 15,000 people in my database, or in a Facebook group, or eyeballs on me, or in a mailing list. Well, guess what, man? When that new product comes out, construction to perm, VA, widget, whatever, when I can go to my audience of 15,000 and Alec can go to his audience of 500, even if he's converting at 10 times the clip that I am, I still win and I still get more clients. So now that's not to say that I don't do a good job. That's not to say that I, could care less about my pipeline or my clients or my loan process or my professionalism. No, I care about all of those things, but we've just got to get in front of more people like that. That's just the name of the game right now. And sadly, I think it's only going to get more dramatic as we go into the future.
So number one, I agree 1,000%. And then all of a sudden, even going back to your analogy, Scott, like imagine that you and I are those loan officers in question, and we're both at the same level of expertise, and we're both competent, and you got 15,000 and I got 500. And now it's like, holy crap, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. And we all see it. And so you got inspired, you started building these groups. How big are the groups that you're a part of?
So I have one that's just for loan officers that has 3,000 or so. I have a couple other groups that I would say that I have influence in, whatever the hell that means, that have about 10,000 in it.
Oh, no, hold on. I want to pause because you made a joke about it, but it's not like you have a voice,
right,
through your hard work in those digital communities. Like that's a real thing.
Sometimes it's hard work. Sometimes it's just me being obnoxious.
Just you trolling people. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, yeah. So there are probably a cross section of 10,000 loan officers that I have some type of influence with. Where if I make a post, I'm going to get some interaction. And then the goal with this Generate group that I just started, which I would love everybody to be part of, is I said, the message in the book that I wrote, which is Lead Generate 61 Days of WPay, shameless self promotion. The message in there. It's really for any entrepreneur, fully commissioned individual. So this new Generate group that I'm building, and I think we're up to about 2,000 people in that group. I want all of my realtors. I want anybody that sells knives or insurance products or door-to-door widgets, or they're an entrepreneur and they own a bakery. Like basically anybody who needs to sell something to make a living, I want them in that Generate group, because there's so many principles that we are all living in the mortgage industry. And there's so much that we have had to do in a shifting environment to build our business and stay relevant and keep lead generating and manage our pipeline and be business owners and be salespeople and be processors and be doc drawers. Like there's so many skills that are transferable to any other industry. So like, why not go on that journey with other people alongside us instead of just hiding and pretending like this, doing loans thing is a secret sauce?
So let's do this before we go into how and why you actually are, how physically you're doing this. What has this done for your business, for your life? What are these groups that you've pioneered to done for you?
My wife would really like the answer to that question. And I think that's what's so challenging, right? Like, yes, I do mortgages and I do well for myself, but I'm not, the number one guy in the country. Sometimes I lose focus and I do things like open a coaching business. And I think we have a phenomenal coaching business for loan officers, but we don't have thousands of clients. We've got 100 clients. And then my wife's like, so what are you going to do with this Generate group? Like, is there a monetization, return on investment? Is this just to pimp out like your mortgage business? I'm like, no, none of that. Just doing it to do it because I wanted another side project. And I really have no motive or end goal. I just know that it's kind of like that field of dreams thing, right? If you build it, they will come. Like one day if this Generate group gets up to 10 or 20,000 people in it, and I say, hey guys, I don't know, we're going to do a live lead generation seminar for 2 days, and who's got $200 to come to LA to do a live? Maybe that's the end result. I don't really know. It's kind of just been like, I have ADD, or I mean, not diagnosed, but I'm sure I have something like that, or maybe it's like the second level or fifth level of ADD. So it's like, in addition to my core business, which I spend 40, 50 hours a week on, I've always got to have these little side projects going, or I just don't feel fulfilled. And one time I had a realtor busting my balls about like, oh, well, maybe you couldn't get back to me because you got all this other stuff going on. I'm like, no, I get back to you at 10 o'clock at night because I put in my 8 or 10 hours a day on loan officer stuff. And then instead of watching reruns of The Walking Dead like you're doing, I just go build a side business for 2 hours. Then I spend 2 hours with my family. Then I come back to work at 10 o'clock at night. And so we've got plenty of time, all of us, to do these little side projects and side hustles, or don't. I don't really care. But if you're interested in getting eyeballs on you, it's 100% free to build all this stuff. Like,
well, that's what I want people to hear, dude. And that's what I think everyone's not understanding and or not connecting the dots on, right? Maybe they understand, they're not connecting the dots. Your ability to start a Facebook group, generate, to get people connected, to have them sharing leads, sharing ideas, sharing community. And you started it when?
I started it 60 days ago, I think.
And you have 2,000 people in it?
Yes.
Now, Scott, for everyone paying attention to that doesn't just happen. Scott's good at this, and like he works hard at this. But like I'm watching that, being like, holy crap, dude! You're just putting a megaphone in front of your mouth. Because to your point, Scott, if you want to put out a message that says, "Call me for a purchase loan or a refi loan," or this new product came out, you've got this audience that you've been investing in. Because you're not just on there, humble bragging. I'm in some of these groups. You're not just putting your reviews out and like, I'm amazing, but you're out there. And I just shared it on Facebook for the Generate group, so you guys can join. We'll get the link on YouTube and LinkedIn. But this is you pouring into other people with no expectation, no secret. Buy my ebook for $80 on the way out.
No ebook yet.
No ebook yet. But at the same time, you're watching these people respond, build influence, build relationship with Scott. And then when it's time for reciprocation, when it's time for, hey, help me, this is the opportunity he's generating around himself. And this is what it's like when you lead a digital community. So Scott, let me ask you this. How much, because I've seen it, so I know the answer, but I want you to share, like, how often are you feeding into that community, helping build it, giving value to it? Kind of describe that.
Yeah, so here's, I think, the trick for all this is you've got to put out content and contribution without getting consumed. I had the benefit of partnering up with somebody several years back that told me, like, hey, one of the criteria of us partnering up together in the mortgage business is you just got to stop arguing about politics on Facebook. Because I was the guy that would write, a 27 paragraph dissertation on the libertarian thought process. And it was intense, right? And I realized that I was getting absolutely consumed by social media instead of just being there to provide content and also to give contribution, right? And so what I do now is I say, like, okay, cool, like 4 times a day, roughly, when I wake up around 9 o'clock and then twice throughout the day, I'm going to go on, I'm going to post something of value. I'm only going to interact with my inner circle in those groups that I run. There's 3 different groups that I run. One of them is a paid group, so you can't just jump in there. But, I'm going to give a contribution to them. I'm going to add content to them. And then after I kind of got in that rhythm and the group started to grow, well, then I could afford a, virtual assistant in the Philippines for $8 an hour, who then updates me throughout the day. Like, hey, Alec tagged you in this. I think this is something you want to respond to. Or she'll respond to my incoming Facebook messages, which gets weird sometimes because she's seen some stuff on Facebook Messenger that maybe I would like her to unsee. But it's all about contribution and content without getting consumed into the endless bullshit that's on social media. And I'm still not perfect. I still get sucked into a political argument once in a while, but I'll live with it.
But guys, please hear the echo chamber of this, from Phil to Neil to Ryan and Jessica to Scott. Like, some of our content is a one-way street. It's just us humble bragging about how good we are. And then we're forgetting that the real power of this is to connect and add value to others, to validate others, to communicate and be in the conversation. Neil said it about Instagram, like, comment on other stuff. That's how you get people to follow you back.
Yep.
And Scott's sharing the exact same thing. If you're willing to build a group, pull people in, add value selflessly, all of a sudden now you're going to build a community of people around you, and it can transform your business and your life.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like I could go into my group every day and tell people to spend $14 on this book or whatever Amazon has it listed at. At the end of the day, that's just me self-promoting. So what am I doing? Instead, I'm going live every single day at 9:00, like clockwork. I read a chapter in the book, which is like 3 or 4 pages. I'm giving out 100% of my content for free. And I don't even know why I'm doing it. Because like I said, the Generate group has yet to have a principle or a thought process or a monetization. I just want everybody in there. I want it to be a safe space where every other loan officer can bring every one of their realtors if they want, without feeling like anybody's advertising to them. I've already cut off some of the self-promotion in the group.
Yeah, just and then fuck.
You be really clear about what you want to accomplish, and then you just contribute from that point, right? And that is the one thing I would say is, like, even if you don't know what the end result is, be kind of clear about your rules, be clear about what you want to do, be clear about the contribution you want to give. Because I just had a guy pitch me on turning the Generate series into a podcast, and I sent him about 4 paragraphs of exactly how that might work. And he wrote me back. He's like, whoa. He's like, you don't fuck around. He's like, you actually know what you want to accomplish with this stuff. I have never had somebody get ready to sign up for a podcast. And by the way, this guy charges $20,000 to build out your entire podcast network. He's like, I'm reading the email right now. He said, I've never had anybody follow up with exact details about where they're at and where they're going. So again, I don't have a way or an idea on how to monetize anything to do with this Generate group, but I know what the purpose and the mission is. And it's crazy to me that this guy that is a very well-known podcast setter upper of things, he's like, oh yeah, nobody ever has like that much of a mission. They're like, well, I'll just go online and talk. And he's like, well,
yes,
that doesn't work.
So let's talk about this then. Let's go into it, Scott. If somebody's like, holy crap, they're seeing in this conversation the opportunity that's for them in their city, their space, their digital community, they're like, oh, I should be doing this. How do you coach them? How do you set them up for it? What are the pitfalls? You just hit a couple of them. So like, have your purpose, like hit it again, but like, how would you coach somebody to do this?
Yeah, if you're going to build, I think a Facebook group is the lowest lying fruit, right? Because you can even start a Facebook group with your immediate circle of friends that are really into Frisbee golf, and you get your 8 friends in there for Frisbee golf. And like, this is how this stuff starts, right? Then they invite their friends and then whatever. I had an assistant. This is the craziest shit, Alec. I had an assistant. Tell me this is not like a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche. He was in a adult male roller coaster enthusiast, gays only. There was 30,000 people in that group. So here's a group of guys that are all gay, that all love like this roller coaster lifestyle where they tour around the world going on roller coasters. And they make retreats out of it and stuff like that. And they're all these roller coaster enthusiasts. And the dude that runs that group, he's making bank organizing these trips. Now he has a membership program where like this little pamphlet on new roller coasters that are opening around the world go. I mean, think about that, 30,000 people that are in this Venn diagram of Venn diagram of Venn diagrams. And then people are like, well, I don't have anything interesting to talk about. Like, everybody's got something, right? So maybe you're going to do it for business. Maybe you're going to be the, East Stevenson Ranch HOA expert, and you're going to get everybody in that neighborhood in there. Or maybe you're going to be, the Alec Hansen. Like, I want to teach people in the mortgage industry how to do social media 2.0. Like, whatever the case may be, I think the Facebook group is the lowest lying fruit. And then the easy thing is you just invite every single friend that you have that is in that Venn diagram of interest into that group, private message them, ask them to be part of the group and contribute. So that's kind of how you start. And then I will tell you, you need a couple plants. you need a couple undercover agents. And whether you pay them or you bribe them with a steak dinner or you give them some type of discount in whatever world you work in, Facebook really rewards the algorithmic interaction early on in the history of anything. So if you do a live post, the quicker somebody likes it or comments on it, the more the algorithm is going to push it out. So what you need, and if my buddy Hal Elrod was on this post, he would admit to you that his huge group of 250,000 people started with him posting a question and then texting 5 of his really, really close friends, hey bro, can you respond to that question real quick? And then they basically were professional moderators for each other. And it started this critical mass where like, oh, well, John commented on Hal's thing. So then Facebook pushed it out to Alex, who then felt interested in commenting. And then Scott was another plant. I came in on commented on Alex thing. So there is a little bit of gaming the system where you want to find people that are on your team that you can either pay or bribe or call in some favors and get them to put authentic content into your group. So the Facebook algorithm says like, oh, this is an interactive group where people are actually communicating. Yep. We need to push this out to more group members. So I have failed at doing that in the past. And on the Generate group, I've got a couple professional moderators.
You know, I want to hit this besides the hack, which is fun to like, because that's where we go next level on this. What Scott said here, guys, I think everyone might have missed. It doesn't need to be about mortgage. Like it needs to be about something that you care about. This is like building digital community. This isn't say building digital mortgage people. This is building digital community. Everyone knows you're going to do mortgages. Everyone's going to know that. Like, it's fine. You know, I joked earlier because I got a buddy who's running a podcast on adult men's baseball leagues, and he's killing it. He's getting business from it all the time, and it's not nothing to do with mortgage. And this is your opportunity. It's right in front of you. I talk about it like it's the gold rush of our generation. This is not going to happen again. Like your chance to build this connection, your chance to put yourself out there and then pour into it is not going to happen again. So it's like it's unbelievable timing to make this thing happen. And Scott, you've been doing it again and again for multiple groups, from mortgage centric to coaching to Generate, which is awesome. What pitfalls can you share to avoid if somebody's getting into this?
Oh man, it can be a total time suck. It can be a total time drain, right? Like you have to know that you're building for the future. So just to give you some context for anybody that's watching, I've been doing this loan racket for like 20 years. I've come just at the tippy top of hitting 100 million by myself several times. My previous partner, Justin Bale, awesome, huge shout out to awesome guy, Justin Bale. We hit over 100 million a couple years together. I will be honest, for the last 10 years, it would have been way more profitable for me to stay off of social media, not have a Facebook account, head down, email database, cold call 50 of my own clients every day, cold call 50 realtors. 100% would have been more profitable for the last 10 years. But where I think we got ahead of the curve a little bit is I think for the next 10 years, yes, I'm going to be way more profitable because I've done all of this and I've built the groups and I have the people in there. So, you know, I made a big gamble. Like I've probably left hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not just grinding mortgages. And there's a lot of guys in the top 5 of Scotsman Guide that are doing 200, 300, 500 million a year who they don't even have a Facebook page. So I'm not saying this is the only way to do things, but I believe that we're going to start to see a shift where those people's numbers over the next 10 years are going to go like this. And people who have engaged in social media and are giving out a ton of value, their numbers are going to start to go like this. And I don't know where those two, you know, inverted yield curves meet and do that little dance. But I think this has been a good investment. And frankly, I just enjoy it more. Like I can maybe make 50 grand more a year by making 50 cold calls a day, or I could have a good time and be playing racquetball. By the way, this actually happened. And somebody walked in, they're like, "Oh God, are you Scott Groves?" And I really thought I was going to get my ass beat. I was like, "Oh, did I sleep with your girlfriend in high school or something?" And he's like, "No, I'm a loan officer. Like, I just want to say thanks. I really enjoy the stuff you put out there." Like that made me feel good. That really pumped my ego up. And then I went and did like 5 videos that night. So I think it's going to be worthwhile. The biggest thing, don't get sucked into it. You know, don't consume more than your lifestyle allows. And then the other big pitfall is, you know, right now it's very toxic and dangerous to maybe be your 100% authentic self. I would say do it anyway. Like you're going to find your tribe that wants to follow you and wants to do business with you. Like there's plenty of people that have opted out of my funnel as sadly clients and referral sources that just don't get what they just don't get me, or we disagree, or I wore some hat with a snake on it because I'm a libertarian and that really pissed them off because they were a Republican or they were a Democrat. And I'm like, well, I don't really care. That's who I am. I'm not going to hide who I am. I don't hide pictures of my kids. I'm not going to hide like who I am or what I believe. So those are the traps. Too much consumption and not being authentic, because then people just know you're full of shit.
But and everyone listening that heard the traps, there's also something there that you might have missed earlier by Scott. Number one, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And you can use it watching, Dawn of the Dead and Walking Dead, or you can use it to build a Facebook community. In addition to the hard work you're doing, slinging loans and helping customers and dealing with underwriting issues and all that other stuff that comes along with your day-to-day. And so that's a huge, if you believe in it, if you think this matters, then you're going to put the time aside to it. And then the other theme that's been happening all day on this COLLAB, guys, is there are so many paths to the customer. There's so many paths to the customer. If you're like, I don't want to be on Instagram, it's like, well, then build Facebook communities. If you're like, I don't want to do that, then start building a podcast network and putting your voice out into the world and sharing what you're passionate about. And this avenue, though, what Scott has done and what I see him do, and the reason I want him to share his insight on this stuff is it's low-hanging fruit, man. It's like right there in front of you. And by the way, this is so powerful. If you've been in retail lending for a long time, you realize that a lot of your business was geographically limited. It's where you could drive to, where the open houses were on the weekends, where the real estate companies were. There's no geographical limitations on the internets. I mean, Scott's groups span the entire country and probably people outside of the country, which he can't give loans for, but maybe if he wants to do a trip, they can help him out with an Airbnb or something. But this is the power of digital communities. This is the power of it.
Shout out to RJ, who's a regional manager down in San Diego that you and I both know for a mortgage company. Great guy. One of his big initiatives is he's telling all of his loan officers, I want every loan officer in my region licensed in at least 3 states. One, because you've got a lot of people, COVID-19 is showing us you can work from anywhere. You don't have to be geographically relevant anymore. So we've got a lot of Californians moving to Nevada and, Boise, Idaho and Phoenix, Arizona. And then a lot of people there moving here because they're like, well, if I'm going to be stuck at home, I want to be in nicer weather where I can go work outside. So he's like, I want all my people licensed in multiple states because that's going to be the new normal. If you can't market and keep up with somebody when they move from San Diego to LA to Phoenix, let's be honest, man, your physical mail is not going to do it. Your email's probably going to the spam filter. But if they can see pictures of your kids and they know what you're up to and they can celebrate your successes, that's huge, right? And you can only do that on social media digitally. And so, come up with a content calendar. There's some easy ones. If you guys want to email me at scott@scottgrovesteam.com. I'll send you my content calendar. It's just like Monday is a business success, Tuesday is a personal story, Wednesday is a funny story about, the business world in general. Thursday is something motivational, and on and on and on and on and on. So, it's just you get into a rhythm, and I used to use that content calendar. Now I kind of just know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's, it's not as hard as you think. Pick something that you like doing and build a group around it.
So guys, I know this is in the comments on Facebook and LinkedIn, so you can't click it when I show it on the screen, but this is a great example of what the group's doing. So if you're seeing this, I know you can't click on the screen, scroll up in the comments and click on it and go over there and you'll start to see what's happening in this community. And you can start to take a lesson from a guy who's done it for years now and who's continuing to build value in it and go, hey, is this for me? Because I'm telling you right now, if it is, and you can find your niche within a niche or whatever it is you're going to talk about, it can generate huge opportunity for you in the long run. Huge influence and opportunity for you in the long run. So we got 4 minutes, dude. Scott, what's your final kind of words of wisdom to the people that are listening on this topic?
I would say have fun, right? Like, yes. Have fun and be yourself because you and I are both fans of Gary Vaynerchuk, and some people are a little burnt out on him because that guy is omni-channel everywhere. Like once you watch one of his videos, you can't escape. Yeah. But he talks a lot about his sidecar issue, right? And his sidecar issue is even if you're never going to hire Gary Vaynerchuk, you're never going to work in media or social media or marketing, like people that are in his geographical area can relate to the fact that he wants to own the Jets. Like he talks a lot about making enough money in this game so that one day he can own the Jets. I talk a lot about drinking iced tea and smoking cigars. Like a lot of my posts or my still pictures or Instagram, I love cigars. My wife, not a huge fan. Hopefully they'll learn how to regrow lips by the time I get some type of weird lip cancer. But at the end of the day, I really love them. And so I'll show up to a live event and I don't ask for this stuff. I don't pander for it, but it's like, I'll show up at a live event and somebody will walk up and be like, hey man, this is my favorite smoke. This is the Liga Privada T52 Robusto. You got to try one. And I'm like, hi, I'm Scott. And they're like, yeah, I'm Bill, man. I just really love your shit. I thought I'd buy you a cigar. And I'm like, that's wicked. So, pick something that you're in love with and just talk about it. Have it be the side issue, And I think there's such an opportunity to just be yourself and find other people who like you. They like you. They really, really like you. Like that Saturday Night Live skit, right? They love me. They really, really love me. And then you'll find people that want to connect with you. And then once in a blue moon, you'll ask them to do business with you and you'll make a lot of money.
Dude, mic drop that. That was so good. It's so true. Scott, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for leading the way in this space, man. You're the man, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope everybody else goes and joins Generate right now and finds out what's really happening in that space because it kicks ass, dude. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you.
Talk to you later, brother.
Talk later.
Woo! Anyone else have to go to the restroom? Because put a break in. Oh, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep rocking on this social collab. Thank you for hanging out live with us. Thank you for being on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Also, thank you for watching in the future. Really cool. I appreciate it. If you are watching in the future, type in hashtag bypass. That always gives me a little notification that somebody's watching this later. It makes me happy, man. All right. Shanya Hara, man. We've been talking about video. You heard us talk about it with the Ellers. You heard us talk about it. It is the medium that you cannot run from. So we're gonna get in the pocket. We're gonna play in the space. Let's talk about how to do video right, and let's talk about storytelling in video. Shanya Hara, this guy I'm going to bring on right now, had a viral video go crazy in Las Vegas. We'll get the actual stats when he's on here, but we're talking many, many views, which creates many, many brand opportunities and much influence. So, without further ado, let's bring on Sean.
Friends and professionals, you're going to love this next topic, video storytelling. And there's nobody better right now to share this with you guys than Shanya Hara, this guy right here. Bang! The power to communicate your message and your heart through video is tied deeply into your ability to tell a story. Now, this guy's got over 100,000 views on a story about Las Vegas, and he's going to jump on with us right now and teach us how to tell stories in video.
Woohoo! I get pumped up every time with my stupid music. What's up? Nice to talk to you.
You're going strong, man.
Well, we're going to see what happens here. I might just like pass out in the middle of this, so we'll see. Thanks for hanging with us, dude. Welcome to the show or whatever this is, the collab. Man, I want to talk about stories, dude. First, and I know I said 100,000 views, but where are we at in this video yours in Las Vegas?
I think we capped it at about 150,000. 150,000 is what we ended up at.
Dude. First of all, please go ahead, Mikey. Let's share the actual link to this video across YouTube, Facebook, and don't leave the collab and go watch it. Don't leave. Come stay here, hang in the pocket. But you did a video in Las Vegas. And let's just walk people through what you did, why you did it. We know the results, but let's talk about it for a second.
So we did kind of a tribute to the city when COVID shut us down. And I think it was just kind of a cool idea that I had because obviously everyone who's been to Vegas, you know, it's the glitz and glam and the lights. And I mean, you name it, you can find it here. And once the shutdown happened, I mean, everything went dark. I mean, literally, you could ride a bike in the middle on Las Vegas Boulevard. So, you know, I was like, man, what if we did a video just kind of showing people, not only here in town, but across the country and the world of, hey, we're more than just a city. You know, people live here. We have regular jobs. It's not just all about the partying and, you know, everyone's in the service industry. There's a lot of people like teachers and, you know, first responders and everybody else. So I was like, man, let's do a kind of a tribute video and let's just see what happens. So we posted it. And I mean, it just took off from the beginning. I think on my personal page, we got over 300 shares.
Yeah.
And I think on our business page, we ended up getting, I think, over like 3,000 shares. And I think, like I said, it was about 150,000 views.
Dude, so those of you that are going to watch the video as it's linking around, you know, it was a surreal video, dude. And again, it had nothing to do, everybody, with Sean, the mortgage stud that he is. Like it was you walking through the streets downtown in Las Vegas with no one there.
Yep.
I mean, it was like post-apocalyptic, you know, and you just did a voiceover effectively of the video about the ethos and the culture and the soul of the city.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of it was just, you know, Vegas has gone through a lot, you know, I mean, you go back to the foreclosure crisis. I mean, we were the hotbed probably besides maybe Arizona and Florida, you know, and then you had the the Route 91 shooting. So Vegas itself, I felt like we've gone through a lot, but we keep coming back stronger, than before. And I think it was just something where there was a lot of negative press in the media all the time, right? It's easy to find that. So I was like, man, let's do something to like really like shout everybody out. We all moved to Vegas from somewhere else in the world. Like hardly anyone's from here. So why not say, hey, look, now that we've all moved here, we're all a family, whether we want to admit it or not. And, we always band together and, Vegas always comes back, man.
Dude. So share a little bit, you made this video, you put it out there, it went crazy, and then all of a sudden you're getting all these shares. Has it changed your business? Has it impacted your mortgage career?
Yes and no. I mean, we've had a few leads and stuff come in that people are like, hey, I seen your video. And then they reached out, and it was kind of funny too, because we had a few leads that we were already kind of going back and forth with that they then reached out and said, hey, I see that this was your video. And then we kind of went into more detail with, their pre-approval and stuff like that. So yes and no. I mean, it wasn't to where, hey, we're doing a ton more business just because of that. But I think it gave us maybe a little more credibility. For sure. And just, showing that, hey, we care about the community and, we're a part of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a powerful brand play to get out there and tell stories. So let's talk about storytelling with your community, because you've done some other interesting things with video out there. And I want you to share a little bit about some of the public services you were doing with COVID, the restaurants you were supporting, because again, it didn't have anything to do with mortgage. It wasn't just, what's DTI? How does that affect the world? Share with everybody what you did.
Obviously the whole, again, COVID thing, it was how can you contribute, to your community? And I see a lot of people, they were doing stuff with first responders, but I had a couple of clients actually comment on other people's videos and stuff about them donating food. And, she was a nurse and she said, we don't need food at the hospital. Like, go and support local businesses. Like, I'm tired of people dropping off stuff, things to the hospital. I was like, okay, I guess I can kind of see that, So we reached out to our community. A few of my friends, they have restaurants and stuff like that. So I just said, hey, look, let's, I want to support you guys, and, I'll buy some food and let's just give it away, and there was actually a casino here in town called Palace Station, and they were doing like a food drive. And I was driving by one day, and I mean, this line to get food was blocks long. I mean, I thought something happened at the hotel. So that kind of made me think, like, we need to help the first responders, but look at all these people. Like, they're literally waiting in line at like 7 a.m. and it's 100 degrees in their car to get food. So I was like, you know what? Let's just give the food away, like, to the community. I don't care who needs it, right? There's only so many times you maybe are eating mac and cheese or whatever it is to kind of stretch that dollar a little farther, because maybe you don't know when your unemployment's coming in and stuff. So I was like, look, a couple of my buddies, they own some great restaurants in town. I said, I'm going to buy food, and let's just give it away. People can come in. This isn't about, like you said, this isn't about Loan Depot or anything else. It's just, you guys need food, come in and eat, and I'll take care of the bill. So, we did that.
Let's just walk through this, because it goes so much deeper. So, you call your buddies at these restaurants and you say, I want to buy food. And what do they say?
They're like, yeah, sure. Why not?
Free food for them.
They were wondering why. I was like, look, people are struggling, and I think obviously some of it could be a pride thing, and they'll never reach out. But if they can come in knowing that, we're here to help, and there's no gimmick or there's nothing tied to it, it's just literally, hey, here's some food, man. They were all for it.
So what went down? You went to the location, you bought a bunch of food. What happened?
Bought a bunch of food. We donated about a little over 100 meals from 2 different restaurants. So we had people come in. We gave away some food, and everyone was happy. Fed a bunch of families. And then the second time we did it, I had some masks and stuff made, because that's when the whole mask thing was kind of coming around. So I did some Loan Depot masks, and we just gave those away to people. And I mean, everybody was super appreciative of it. And not that we asked for it, but you had some people that were reposting, pictures of the food and giving us shout outs on social media and stuff like that. So, again, indirectly, it grew our brand a little more here in town.
Well, Sean, this is what I love about this. And obviously you did an amazing thing. It was a really cool thing. I would have never seen it if you didn't tell that story on video. I would have never seen it. And I work with you, but the community, the reach you could have had would have been way less if you didn't share it through storytelling and video.
Yeah.
That's just period. And I want everyone to hear that, because everyone's doing really cool stuff. There's a lot of loan professionals doing amazing stuff in your community, but no one can see it.
Yeah.
Because you're not telling any stories through video and you're not showcasing what's happening. And once you push those stories out, share about what happened after that. How did people respond? What happened in your life?
We were really, careful about how we did the videos, because obviously we didn't want to get a bunch of people in there and have them feel, some type of way about it. So it was more about,
Smart.
Us taking control, because I think with social media and, everyone is just it's just easy to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And you kind of keep scrolling, or, hey, I want to do this, but you don't take action. So for me, it was, look, I don't give a shit. It's how many meals we buy. We just need to do it. Like, I'm tired of just seeing, other people, oh, we should do this and we should do that. Like, just go do it.
Dude.
And it was to help my friends who had restaurants and, like everyone was saying, go support local businesses. But
Yes.
how many people actually went out and did stuff? So I was like, we need to go do it. And we documented it. Right. And not everyone's going to do that, but it wasn't for my, benefit. It was also to show that restaurant is busy. They're serving food. They're still in business. Hey guys, come out, check these guys out and go try their food. So, it was really putting everybody else first. And, our business has grown. I mean, now we've got agents that are reaching out to us. I just had one yesterday. I've never talked to her before. And she reached out and she's like, hey, I've been watching your videos and I want to start working with you. She's like, I work with another lender, but they don't do anything close to what you're doing. So
That's it.
Again, I don't do these things with the intent of, what's the ROI? I think some of the other guys were talking about that earlier. It's just I tell Leo this every day, who helps me with our videos. It's, we just got to do what we got to do every day. That's it. That's all we got to focus on. All the other stuff's going to come eventually. At some point, the water faucet's just going to you can't turn it off. So until then, we just got to focus on our daily grind and what we do, and everything will pay off, man, at some point.
Here, I'm gonna share the video. I want people to watch this. Let's see how this goes here. Let's do a full screen. All right, and then let's try this thing here. Can you hear the audio?
Las Vegas is our city. A city where 3 million people call home. The city that boasts the world's best entertainment, fine dining, nightlife, and shopping. What was once a tourist destination was completely shut down in the blink of an eye. I mean, who would ever think the bright lights of the Strip would go dark? Sin City is what many people refer to as a party destination. But we are more than just nightclubs and overindulgence. This is home. Home to teachers, doctors, nurses, and first responders that are doing everything possible to protect our community. They risk their lives every day to help those in need. Millions of us have moved here from somewhere else in the world, but now we call Las Vegas home. This isn't the first time Las Vegas has gotten knocked to the ground, and it probably won't be the last. We certainly have faced our fair share of adversity over the years. From the foreclosure crisis in 2008 to the Route 91 shooting. The people of our city have shown and will continue to show love and support for one another in tough times. No matter how hard we get hit, we always bounce back. We never quit. We never give up. In fact, we always rise up stronger than before. Like they say, this too shall pass. COVID-19 has hit our city hard, but I know one thing. We are going to bounce back even stronger than before. We are Vegas Strong.
Boom, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Jeez, dude, I get goosebumps still, like watching that thing, and like seeing you're driving and nobody's there, and seeing the guy hitting the tennis ball by like in the valet line. This is storytelling with video, guys, and this is the power of this stuff is human connection. And I just am encouraging you guys because what Sean did is an example for all of us of what we can do when we step out of the mortgage world, take our hat off, and tell stories. And again, Sean, share with people, like, where did the inspiration come from for that?
I've taken a lot of content, and I seen actually Ryan Serhant. He did a video about New York City, and I watched that, and I was like, man, it was a pretty cool video, and I was like, man, we could do the same thing here. So we got out, we went out and shot it, and just kind of threw, a lot of that B-roll and stuff together. And I mean, for us too, it was kind of cool to just get on the strip. And, again, you don't ever see it ever like that. I mean, I've lived in town 13 years. So, it was one of those things before you started to see more people go out and bike ride and do all that stuff down there. I mean, we were still pretty early when we did it. So I think by the time we shot the video, we got it out, it was before a lot of people started really, really going out there and, trying to get those photo ops, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. But I love this because what you said was very transparent. I saw someone else do it. What's going to stop me from doing it?
Yeah.
I wish more people would get in that frame of mind. So you do a lot of video content, John. You do a lot. Anyone that follows you or has now started to click on your handles and found you online from this, you put out a lot of content. What's your motivation behind that? What's your motivation for your videos? Share your thought process in when you're going to make a video. And I just saw on social that you just did like 8. You're going for 8 videos in one day.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday.
So I know what you're feeling, man. You got that water by your side.
Bro. So yeah, break it down, dude. What goes through your head when you make this content? What's your intent behind it?
So a lot of it, it stemmed, like Neil talked about this morning, was I just kind of got fed up with always just having to ask agents for business. And I think when you first get in, I've been doing this about 12 years. That's kind of the only way you're taught. Like, you have to call agents every single week. Hey, do you have any leads? Hey, can I help you with this? Or, I kind of got tired of it because you do so good of a job sometimes on these deals, right? We can close early. There's no hiccups. And yet that agent will still not use you. They will put you at, one of 5 lenders that they deal with. So, about a year and a half ago or so, I really said, okay, I'm going to just start creating content. And I never used Instagram, never used Facebook for any marketing. I kept all my stuff private. So I said, screw it. Let's go. Let's just start doing this. Let's figure this out.
Pause. Why? A year and a half ago, you weren't doing any of this stuff. What was the catalyst that finally was like, I'm in?
I just got tired of calling agents, and I just felt like I played basketball my whole life. I'm super competitive, and I felt like I'm better than the next guy. But why am I not getting the deal? Right? If I can close faster and I have, our customer service is better and we close the deal quicker, why am I not getting the agent's deal? There's something else that I'm not doing that's, we're not getting, versus just paying for the business, which I've done, spent tens of thousands of dollars doing that too. But I wanted more of that partnership, with the agents, truly telling them like, look, we're in this together, right? We're going to create content together. I'm not just going to be one of 5 on your list that you send leads to. I want everything, and let's start building something stronger together. So I started like probably everybody else, Facebook, running some ads. We did okay with that, but it wasn't anything that really transformed our business. But it was the company that I was with prior to Loan Depot. They kind of put the handcuffs on me and said, you can't do certain things. And it was just, I'm like, well, I'm trying to go in this direction. You guys don't want me using social media.
Yeah.
So, obviously I was able to meet with Chris and you guys. And I was like, I didn't know how I didn't hear about Loan Depot before.
But I want you to hit again. Like, there are so many loan officers right now. I know it. I see them. I talk to them in the entire industry who haven't made the decision yet to get all in this space. And they're still like, and right now with loans kind of falling from the sky, it can be like distracting. I'm like, oh, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
And, Scott, the last guy we had on, was like, it's not going to be fine in the future. He's like, it's not going to be fine in the future.
Yeah.
And there's fear. And so if somebody's going to go all into video and storytelling, what advice would you give them? How would you share your thoughts on that?
Just share your story. Like you said, you don't have to talk about mortgages every day, because honestly, no one gives a shit about mortgages. It's boring. What we do is boring. There's nothing cool about reading a tax return. Like, so how can you, spice it up a little more? Like, I know I've talked to a couple of guys like within our region, that there was one guy that loves dirt bike riding. I'm like, dude, post about dirt bike riding every day. And he's been doing it, and I see he gets a lot more engagement. So I think for anyone that's out there that's listening, that's struggling with content, to think of, let's talk about yourself. Talk about what you like doing. And I think once you start doing that, people will start to follow you, and people will start to like engage. And then you can start talking about, PMI and down payment assistance. You can sprinkle that stuff in amongst your personal content that you want to share. Dude,
I could not agree more. The fact that we are hiding our authentic self behind videos about DTI and down payment, and not letting ourselves come through that.
Yeah.
The Ellers talked about that earlier, is going to be the big hindrance to growth and success. When you finally show up, like you did one, son, I really like this, and I want other people to take a lesson. Like, you showed yourself like watching one of your first videos. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Like one of your first videos up, and then you were like next to it, like looking at it.
Oh yeah, that was bad. That was all bad.
But what was that first video about? What do you remember?
It was about loans. I think it was just about, I don't know, some kind of guideline. I think it was terrible. It's like suit and tie. And obviously, like, you watch my stuff now, like, you'll never catch me in a suit and tie. But it was about some kind of guideline, and it didn't do that well. But it was funny, because it's you go back and you look at your library, and how you've evolved, which is kind of cool. And now, we do a lot more stuff that's maybe inspirational, and, kind of sharing our journey. Because I still feel that we're pretty young at, this whole social media thing, because it's only been, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, I want everyone to hear that, man. Like, the journey has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
A year and a half to a video that's got 150,000 views and massive brand play in across the country. It's like that. It's not too late. It's time to start. Everyone has a unique and powerful audience waiting for them. And you just tell your story.
Yeah, you just got to get on camera. I think that's the biggest thing. Everyone has this this thing of what's going to be, when am I going to get my money back, or when am I going to get my, what's the ROI? Like, I think on our YouTube channel in the last 3 months, we've done maybe over 100 videos.
Okay.
I put those out. I don't care if I get a view. Some we get 5, some we get 50. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It's just putting the content out every day and just creating our brand every single day. Like I said earlier, that realtor that called me, I was telling this story to Leo yesterday, that if she would have never called us if it wasn't for the videos that we're doing today. However, if we didn't start a year and a half ago, she would have never had content to watch regardless. So I don't know who's watching my stuff right now, but the fact that she could have been on my page and she might have watched 20, 30 videos yesterday and said, I'm going to call this guy. She called me and said, I want to work with you. I've never heard of her. So I think it's just those opportunities. You kind of open yourself up a lot more once you start, like you said, you got to put yourself out there. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people, but I mean, what's a deal worth to you in whatever part of the country you're listening to this, right? $5,000, $7,000. I mean, if you could post and every post could potentially lead to a deal, why would you not be more consistent about posting?
Well, dude, we got a few minutes before our next guy that's coming on. So let's drop some advice. What's some of your advice, Sean, for somebody who's new in the business or lifetime player in the business but hasn't gotten into storytelling with video? What's your advice?
I think the biggest thing is just do it. Don't get caught up with the equipment. Don't get caught up with trying to be too overly professional or anything. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Talk about stuff that you have a passion about, whether it could be anything. Your kids, obviously you see the jerseys in the back. Like I said, I played ball my whole life, so it could be sports, whatever it is. Talk about that. That's the easiest thing, because you don't have to worry about a script. You don't have to worry about what you sound like. Just record, right? And we all talk about this. It doesn't matter, right? We're using Blue Yeti mics. They're $100. Just do it. And I think the more you do it, like anything else in life, you get better at it. And yesterday we spent 2.5 hours. We shot 6 videos. That would have taken me probably 2 days to do that when I first started. We shot 9 videos yesterday. But again, I've shot hundreds of videos at this point, and I still screw up. We still make mistakes. But you just have to keep pushing yourself every day. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And, if this is your career, you got another, who knows how long, 20, 30, 40 years in the business. I mean, you might as well keep creating content now. There's nothing that's bad about creating content.
Well, here's a comment too that people are forgetting. And you said it so quickly that I think everyone's going to mishear this. You've carved time to film videos, and then those videos get posted when?
We schedule them out. So from yesterday that we shot, we'll probably get them semi-edited by the end of the week of this week. And then I think hopefully by Monday, Tuesday of next week, we'll have them completely done. And then we'll go and we'll probably schedule them out for the next few weeks.
So I want everyone to hear that, because everyone's like, I got to do videos all the time. When do I have the time? When do I find the time? And they get all overwhelmed. And you're like, just carve time on a Saturday or carve time in your work day, have some discipline, and film videos during that time. Yeah. I used to joke that I had a t-shirt rack next to my, out of camera range, and I'd film a video and then I'd change t-shirts and then film another video.
I had 3 of them yesterday, 3 different shirts, 3 different hats. And we shot it all.
You guys have to realize, when you get really tactical on video creation, you're not going to have the motivation every single day to show up and film a video, let alone have the time, because you're working, and hopefully you're working on a ton of loans. So you're going to have to carve a time, make it part of your deal. And then all of a sudden you're going to realize you got the power right behind you, because you'll have it all in the Dropbox, and then it just picks up momentum. And as Sean said, you get better. Now he's filming in what used to take 100 takes is taking 5. I hope you and Leo are saving all the bloopers, by the way, because I need.
I told him that's on our list, and that's another thing, right? So I have, a videographer on my team. So the minute I get an idea, we have a Google Doc that we share. The idea goes in there, And a lot of times, you know, I'll text him like, hey, let's shoot this. So I get these ideas and I'll want to shoot it. And yeah, sometimes we get busy. I mean, everyone, like you said, should be busy right now. So, you know, 2 of the videos that we shot yesterday, I've been sitting on that idea for the last 2 weeks. So we finally got those done. We'll get them out. I mean, before, you know, obviously he's sitting right next to me and I get an idea. It's like, let's just go shoot right now kind of thing. So, you know, I like to move fast when we get ideas.
So we got 2 minutes left, but I want to share this for everyone that hears this. And I put Leo up on the screen because he's your right-hand man, you know, helping you produce content. And in mortgage, I remember in 2003, and I know this makes me sound like whatever I am now, but I got my first assistant, and my branch manager wasn't going to let me hire that person because I didn't do enough production yet. And I was like, I need to get, you know, I want to get some, Neil's still hanging out. I want to get an assistant that's going to help my business. And the second I hired my first assistant, I hired him with my own cash. I gave him my own money out of my commissions because it was easier back then. And it radically changed my life because now I could scale up my activities. Yeah. And when I look at the world today, even Neil said it in the beginning on Instagram, if it's important to you, you'll hire for it. You'll spend the money for it. You'll carve time for it. And a good example is like all these loan officers has got 1 million production assistants. I'm like, well, one or two of those could be a video guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's important to you, go hire them, go pay them money, and step your game up. And I look at you and I'm like, dude, you're leading the way on that. You're hiring. It was important to you. You're investing in it. You're hiring them. They're working side by side. You could have had another PA that was pushing paper, but you hired a video guy to create content. And I'm like, wow, this is the future. Yeah. This is the future right now, dude. So. Thank you, Sean, dude. Thank you for telling great stories. Thank you for letting me share that Las Vegas video. Any final words before we get you out of here?
No, man. I hope, you know, I've talked to Neil a bunch of times and I agree with him. You know, who cares what company you're at? You know, we're all in this together and there's enough business for everybody. So, you know, I've bounced ideas off of him, and obviously anybody else that's listening to this, if you're at a different company, you have questions, you know, hit me up. I'm more than willing to dive deep with you and let you know how we do it, why we do it. Because, you know, again, I'm all about everybody winning.
Thank you, dude. All right. You're out, brother. Have a great day.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Ooh, I got him off too fast. I feel bad. I got to let him settle out. I'm like, bye, quick. But, dude, we're in the final stretch here. It's going to be a fun one, man. Woo! I bumped into Andrew on social media as we do in this game, and I was like, oh, there's something special happening here. Like, first of all, he's the epic mortgage guy. Like, all of a sudden, you're immediately like, okay, like, who are you, the epic mortgage guy? I got to get to know this. And I started watching content, watching what he was putting out, and I was like, uh-oh, there's something really, really, really cool here. And so, without further ado, let's bring on epic mortgage guy, Andrew Cady.
Friends and professionals, our next topic is the power of digital connections with this guy, Andrew Cady. Now, for those of you that don't follow this guy, you're missing out. When I first saw him online, I knew he was doing something special. Something was happening because when he would post, when he would share his message, he would have a resounding audience jumping in and collaborating with him. And it's taken his business to new heights. So let's bring him on and talk about what he's doing and the power of digital connections.
Oh, entry music, bro. Entry music. We got walk-on music for you, dude.
I don't even know what to say right now, man. How are you?
I have to use the restroom, but we're gonna push through, dude. It's so good to see you, man. Look at the background and the epic, dude. You're crushing it right now.
Hey, even have proper softbox lighting. You know, we got this stuff set up.
Dude, I'm jealous. So I want to dive right in with you, man, because you've done something that I have never seen anybody do yet in the industry. And I was so impressed by it that I was like, man, I need you to bring you on and talk about the power of digital connections, because when I learned that you had spent 2 years of your business cultivating a digital connection ecosystem universe, I was like, this is the power, you know. And so first, Andrew, real quick, share with everybody how your production's going, because I know we're all having good years. You're having a really good year. Like, share with everybody that. Let's let everyone know who you are.
Yeah. So year to date, I'm about 25 days away from eclipsing last year's volume. So last year I did 200 units. Somewhere in mid-July, I'm going to close out my 200th unit for this year. And the crazy thing is 93% of my business is purchased this year. So this isn't, you know, a spike from refis. This is a lot of organic, a lot of referral-based business, almost entirely driven through social media on my end.
Yeah, so that's where all of a sudden I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of production, but it's all coming through your digital efforts. And
yeah,
so,
I'm not the guy that is, dialing real estate agents, hey, can I buy you coffee? Yes, I did that 5 years ago when I got into the business. I bought a lot of coffee and a lot of lunches and ultimately a lot of beers. But once the audience on social media began to kind of grow and turn into really just a referral base,
yes,
I have probably in the last 18 to 24 months, I haven't taken anybody to lunch unless they've called me to ask me to go to lunch. Frankly, I just don't have time for it unless they're asking me. I am desperately seeking ways to hire more people right now and not just seek more business right now, which is awesome.
So you say that, and everyone out there is like, holy crap, I want that. Like, how do I get that? How do I do that? And you had to earn this seat at the table. You had to put time and sweat and tears into it. And so for everybody that's listening, like, how many in Facebook, like, let's just use that platform, how many connections do you have with real estate professionals on Facebook?
So I'm capped out or close to being capped out on my friends list. I removed about 200 lender friends that have added me so I can make room for more real estate agents. But there's no exact math, but I figure somewhere between the number of 3,800 and 4,000 of my friends on Facebook are real estate agents, either specifically in my local markets or in Florida, Georgia, where I'm doing business.
So, for everyone else that just heard that, like I did the first time, and I was like, oh, this guy cracked the code. Because that, by the way, that takes effort. That takes tremendous amounts of effort.
It does.
And how did you get that? How did you create that? When did you start? And how did you get that level of influence?
So where I began with this whole thing was when I got into the mortgage business. I got in and I truly had like no mentor. I was a friend of mine brought me in the business who was an executive vice president of a mortgage company. And he basically put me in a branch, sat me in front of Encompass, and was like, hey, go originate loans. And so I found another friend of mine who was really good, and we kind of collaborated. And so I had no connections. And so what I did is I spent about 8 months pounding the pavement and went to 25 open houses every single weekend for about 8 months.
I know what that feels like.
And just walk in, grab business cards, shake hands, get out. And then I would add these real estate agents on Facebook. And what I found is when I add that first realtor on Facebook, if I haven't met them face to face, there's a very low probability they're going to add me back. But if I've met them at an open house, I could quickly, in a matter of 7-8 months, amass 500 realtors on Facebook pretty easily. And then when I would go to my suggested friends list, other real estate agents, now we have 75 mutual friends. So when I would click that add friend button, boom, I get added back. Now when I go on there and it's like, oh, there's a real estate agent, I have 1,300 mutual friends with them. Of course they're going to add me back. So it is a slow build and it takes a lot of effort. But it's also, managing the content you're putting out and the quality of the content, but also staying away from hot topic issues, keeping myself very, very, very politically agnostic, right down the middle of the road. There's some things I just will not touch on my Facebook.
Well, and we can get into pitfalls, and that'd be a fun conversation, but I want everyone to really hear this. Like, what you did was had incredible foresight, because you built a digital community before it was cool. It takes time. And like you said, then it snowballs. Then you got like 75 mutual friends, and then you don't have to meet them face to face. They're going to accept it. And now all of a sudden you have this megaphone opportunity. And now when you put out a piece of content, put out a piece of video, put out anything at all, you have this audience that's already there waiting for you.
Correct. Yeah, I just posted about an hour ago on my Facebook, and right before we went live, I looked at it. I'm close to 100 engagements in just under an hour on just a screenshot of an email that I got. Like, the engagement level is just always there, but it's also making sure that we're not posting a rant about a football game, because you're going to kill your Facebook engagement when you start posting this. Every post I do has to be very thought out, the time of day I'm going to post it, the content I'm going to post. it has to be something that you're not just arbitrarily doing, but rather planning to get done successfully.
You know, I know everybody's hearing this through your conversation and through your intent on this, but like you radically transformed your career, like radically.
Yeah. I mean, it will be, you know, what I'm looking at this year will be very likely somewhere in the neighborhood of a 75 to $90 million a year at 95% purchase. And that's coming off of a $45 million a year last year.
It's so fun for me to watch because there are so many different ways to the customer now. And this has been the theme throughout the collab today, is that there's all these opportunities from people from podcasting to Instagram to what you've done on Facebook connections to create this opportunity. So here's a question for you right now live. Great advice with a 1-2 punch of live networking and digital connecting. Man, if you're in COVID land today, right? So you kind of have to put yourself there. It's hard to meet that first connection. You know, as a pro in this space, how do you tackle it today, or how do you handle? You're in a different space, but how do you handle it?
Yeah, so you know, it's something that I'm not necessarily doing. So you know, I kind of can come off as hypocritical in saying this, but I'm also not doing it because I, number one, just don't have time, and number two, don't know if I want that much more business right now. But if I was in that space where I'm like, boom, I need to grow today, and COVID's keeping me inside, I would do a Tuesday 5 p.m. bring your own beer happy hour on Zoom. And I would do the same thing on Friday afternoon. And I would do it twice a week. And I would put it out there, and I would get 10 to 12 to 15 real estate agents twice a week into my Zoom. I would keep it relative, keep it funny. We talk about wines and beers and what everybody's drinking, and basically build a social connection over Zoom, because that's the best opportunity we have short of face-to-face right now, in my opinion.
Dude, unbelievably cool. So let's do this. Let me ask this question, because I know people are going to relate to this. Everyone can hear build your audience, and then they can be like, okay, I know what to do. I'll go out and I'll build my audience. But then once you have the audience like you do, that doesn't mean you instantly get success.
No.
So you have a very intentional content strategy. You've been kind of talking about it. You know, stay away from these topics that will take you down the drain. But like, share with everybody, like, what is your content strategy today?
So my content strategy is, first and foremost, is to remain real and very true to myself. I do not want to be a talking head of mortgages. I don't want to be the guy that only gets out there and talks about it. I'm a big believer that people in my market want to see me as an absolute kick-ass mortgage professional, but also a kick-ass husband, kick-ass father. They want to see pictures of my dog. They want to see me at the beach on a Saturday with my kids. They want to see awesome mortgage content. And then they also want a lot of comedy, especially in the world we're in right now. If we can do something to put a smile on someone's face, whether it's the post I did a few minutes ago about a client who emailed me and saying he's putting his home shopping on hold due to a collapsing housing market, people want something to laugh at right now. So if I can interject laughter, comedy into their life while I'm also putting mortgage-related content in front of their face, it just is it's ultimately a method of top-of-mind awareness for me. So my ultimate strategy, I have professional videos that I've done that are on a cycle where they're posted every day or every other day. And I'm basically in between filling the gaps with pictures of my kids, pictures of my dog, and then the occasional rant. Once about every 45 to 60 days,
little rant.
A good rant. I'm a big believer that negativity will turn people away in the long run. If all I do is get out there and I attack and I attack and I attack, eventually it's going to turn people away. Because people are attracted to a better demeanor than always someone who's attacking. However, when someone who is a positive person, a high energy person is always out there and then comes out with an angry rant where you dare say the word shit in it.
Oh no.
Now you've got everyone's attention. Now everybody's like, oh my gosh, this guy who's normally calm, cool, and collected is off his chain. I'm going to listen to his videos. So it's a cycle of family, dog, business, rant, funny, family, dog, business, rant, funny. And it's just a cycle on social media.
What I want everyone to hear on that is that it's okay to be a human and show all aspects of your humanity. And Andrew, you do a great job of that. And I've read some of your rants and enjoy them. And I think they're fun because all of a sudden you're like, oh, finally someone's saying it. Like no one else is saying it. This guy's saying it. But it's okay to be funny, and it's okay to have humor. It's okay to be real. I once read an article that, if you're actually blessed to be funny, then you actually have an advantage because you change someone's whole physiology when you're funny. Like they laugh, they get happier, they immediately like you more. And it's okay to be human. And there's a lot of people putting out content when they don't show their humanity. They put their food on. And
there's a lot of mortgage people that I even see and connect with on social media that are disingenuous.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to attack anyone personally, obviously. However, be who you are. If you're not the funny guy, don't be the funny guy.
Yep.
Because you're going to connect with your base of whatever you are. And if you're trying to be me when you are not me, it's going to miserably fail.
Yeah.
The majority of people will see through it, and it's not going to turn out how you want it. So just be real, be who you are, be unapologetically you, and you're going to connect. For every one person I turn off with my rant, I'm going to turn on 2 people that will follow exactly in line with me because they're my people. So be who you are. Don't fake it. It's everybody sees through that stuff.
So, guys, what I love about Andrew is his not only his authenticity to be real, but it's also his hard work and intentionality. Like you don't get 4,000 realtors connected to you without hard work. You heard him. He was very quick in rambling off like rant, dog, funny, professional. But you realize, oh crap, like he's running this. He's so used to it. He has such intense strategy around what he's doing that it becomes second nature to him, where he just rips it off.
I mean, I've already got my post in my head of what I'm posting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Yep.
I won't post it at 8 a.m. I'm going to post it at 9 a.m. specifically because the target audience I'm looking for is going to be at their computers or at their desks or at their phones, typically between 8 and 9 a.m.
Yep.
If I post that same post at 11 a.m. or at 7 a.m., it'll get half the engagement.
So you told me something that was new to me. What's this? How do you leverage Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, so Facebook Messenger is a phenomenal tool. So let's say Alec and I are connected on Facebook, and Alec occasionally sees my posts, but doesn't necessarily see everything I do. If Alec is he's a real estate referral partner that I want to work with or potentially could work with, I could text Alec and say, hey, how's everything going? Happy Monday. Hopefully your day's rocking and rolling.
Yep.
And that does nothing for my social media. But if I would send that same message over Facebook Messenger to Alec, the moment Alec responds to that message, even with a thumbs up, it now changes Facebook's strategy or its algorithm of the friendship that Alec and I have, and it brings it to a more personal level. And now Alec is guaranteed to see my next 3 Facebook posts I post immediately in his Facebook wall. So rather than texting people, I've gotten to this habit of just shooting a message over Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
Hey, I got this contract in. Hopefully everything's going well. We're on it. We'll take care of it. That's a text message. But all of us are on Facebook Messenger just as much as we're on text message.
Yes,
and if I can increase my engagement at the same time of communicating something I would communicate anyways, why the hell wouldn't I do that?
Oh, it's incredible. And I think it's a missed opportunity.
It is. It's a huge missed opportunity, and it's something that a lot of people just don't simply grasp, or they feel maybe like they're getting too personal. But I don't think there's any more personal than my phone dinging their phone. If I'm willing to text them, why the heck wouldn't I Facebook message them?
So, what other misses are people are there? What other missed opportunities are there that you think people should be?
Huge missed opportunity would be when real estate agents invite you to like their business page. Love it. Just my favorite moment. I used to go through and I would just like their business page because I want them to get that little pop-up that says, Andrew Katie likes your business page.
Absolutely.
And then what I decided I was going to do is I unliked all of them. And then I waited for people to start requesting me again, because they eventually just go invite their whole friends list.
Right.
And then what I do is I send them a Facebook message on personal to personal. And I say, hey, Alec, thanks for inviting me to like your Facebook page. I'd be super happy to do that for you. Here's the link to my Facebook page if you want to do the same. I'd love to have an opportunity to do business together. So now, number one, I'm acknowledging their request. I'm requesting that they like me, but then I'm also doing it over Facebook Messenger, which is going to increase their engagement of the content they see of my posts.
God, it's just like, I love the intentionality of that. I love the intentionality because it takes time to write that message. You could have easily just liked their stuff and move on.
Yeah, that's the easy route, but I'm not in this game for 100 million. I'm not in this game for 200 million. I don't know where my ending point is, but there's no level of just like satisfaction for me. I'm in this game to play for the long haul and to push as hard as I can to make an empire I can leave my kids, to make an empire I can hire in and bring people in to create. I'd like to have $1 billion mortgage team someday.
Dude, and you're going to. I have no doubt, dude. If you keep putting in the effort and the time, there's no doubt you'll get to where you want to go. So let's do this. We got like 12 minutes. If someone was new to Facebook, and by the way, there's a lot of them. I know that sounds weird, that you're like, they've never started a business page on Facebook. Maybe they got a personal page. They got a few friends on there. And they came to you for advice because you inspired them now. They're like, holy shit, I'm missing the boat. How do you set them up? What do you say to them?
Create a Facebook business page primarily for just people being able to search you. Like if you Google search Andrew Cady, if you just search Andrew Cady, I dominate page 1 and page 2. And number 4 or 5, somewhere in there is my Facebook business page with 57 5-star reviews. They don't do 5-star reviews anymore, but you want that ability for people to search you. Create a business page. I rarely even post on my business page because I don't think business pages quite have the engagement they used to. I would say immediately go through, if you're looking to grow social media, spend 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 days, depending on how long you've been on Facebook. Go through your previous content and delete a lot of it. Delete a lot of your previous content. I don't care if you're Democratic or Republican or how strong your views are on things. There are some topics that if you're seeking to grow business through social media, yes, it's a free country. Yes, you have every right to post whatever you want, but be forewarned that you're going to lose 50% of your potential business because of your Facebook post about a president.
Yep.
So guns, religion, abortion, drugs, politics have zero place on Facebook. If I post something and someone comments something political on my Facebook wall, I respond and say, please remove politics off my wall. I'm not doing it. Oh, race, I'll add race to it. Absolutely. We all have our opinions. We all have our views. But if you're seeking to grow and engage with people on social media, you're going to alienate 50 to sometimes greater than 50% of your audience by having strong public views on these things. And if you don't want to go that route, then don't use social media as your platform to grow your business. But I'm telling you, you're missing the boat on it.
Yeah.
So go through, delete a lot of your stuff. Stay very, very positive. Stay motivating. Don't always be in attack mode. Don't always be in this mode of negative, of always posting about your problems. People get very, very turned off by that. They want positivity and optimism. I sound like Gary Vee with that, but
that's all good, dude. Bring the truth.
And yes, the occasional rant. But I would say clean out your Facebook and start by adding every single real estate agent that you've ever met in your life.
Yep.
And then spend 15 minutes a day scrolling Facebook through the suggested friends and add 20 new real estate agent friends every single day and do it for 2 years. And that's going to take something that 99% of loan officers don't have called consistency. And if you're willing to be consistent with anything, that should be what it is. It's not easy to carve out 20 minutes in my day, but I did this morning. I'll tell you, I have 78 loans in my pipeline right now. I've got 52 purchases closing next month, and I've got 37 closing this month. I don't have time to breathe, but I spent 20 minutes this morning and I added 15 people on Facebook.
Dude,
why? Because the moment I stop growing is the moment I start dying.
I love when people just blow up people's excuses, and it's been a whole like day of it for me. I'm just like everyone, because I know everyone's excuse. I don't have the time. And then Andrew was like, I have 1 million loans in my pipeline, and they're like, oh, I have the time.
Yeah, but I'm sick of excuses too.
Yeah.
We all can make excuses. Every one of us can. For me, I'm not willing to entertain anything that is even close to mediocrity in my life. If it's not furthering my business or furthering my family, that comes secondary to everything else. Everything else is secondary to furthering my family or furthering my business. That's it. Those are my two priorities. Those are my two focuses. So I'll be more than willing to take a day off the water, off the boat, and work if my family's out of town, because I'll just work. I would rather work than go have a little fun by myself. But if my kids are home, I want to spend time there. It's all about priorities. But God, if there's one word that this industry is missing, is consistency.
No doubt, dude.
Loan officers habitually chase the next shiny object, the next app that's going to make their life easy, the next software that's going to change this. And they're just missing out on getting out and doing an old school grind, hard work, and have fun.
Well, and that's why I really wanted to highlight on this conversation, Andrew, because carving time to make human connection digitally is hard and takes time. It takes time and it takes consistency and it takes hard work. And so all of a sudden you realize what the power is if you can get behind it. You start to create like you have a kingdom of opportunity that yields all this loan, all this opportunity now, and you're not out there. You're in control of your own destiny.
Absolutely, yes. And it gets to the point where I have to hire again now. Like I either have to hire or I just simply can't take on more business, and that's the best problem to have. I would rather be stressed 10 times over with having too much business than not having enough business. And I've been there. I've been there where my phone didn't ring for 2 weeks. I've been there with that level of stress of not knowing what the next paycheck's going to look like. And I'll take the stress of having too much business all day long over the stress of not having enough business. And for that, I've learned one word, and that's consistency. And that is to consistently post on Facebook, to religiously add people on Facebook, to consistently stay away from problem topics on Facebook. I'm just not interested in controversy. I'm interested in portraying myself who I am: a good father, a good husband, and a kick-ass mortgage banker.
So in our last 5 minutes, did you ever have any fear of video?
I did. Oh my God. You go back and look at my first few videos, they were miserable. Oh my gosh. And I actually, if I could give any advice on it, the best win I've ever done for fixing my fear of video was live video.
Oh, why? How so?
When you screw up, you've screwed up. You just keep going.
You just power through.
Whereas when I would record a video, I'd screw up 45 times.
Yeah.
I'd screw up over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I'd retake, and I spend 4 hours. Where if I just go live, you eventually just learn to you mess up, you move on. Dude. And yeah, live video kind of started for me back in 2017 when I went viral with one of the hurricanes. And then from there, it just kept going. During March when we had the complete market meltdown, I was out of town, bad time to take a family vacation. But I started doing a live video every single day on Facebook. And these videos were getting 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 views on Facebook, like 50, 60 shares by real estate agents of these videos, just talking about why interest rates are rising, what's going on in our markets. People are seeking an expert. And if you can truly, that's, in the last couple minutes here, I'd touch on that.
Please.
Don't half-ass this industry.
Oh yeah.
If this is an industry where you're seeking to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, why would you not absolutely become the best at what you do? Go out and read the guidelines. Spend your time actually perfecting your craft.
Yes.
Buy into MBS Highway. Learn what the markets. Learn your candlestick patterns. Be able to intelligently tell people why mortgage-backed securities are going up or down. When a client calls me and he's like, "Hey, I saw the interest rates have come down," and I can explain to him, "No, what you're seeing is news that was 2 weeks ago. And if you actually look at the MBS Highway charts that I can send you, it's changed." It takes the wind out of people's sails. I lose maybe one deal a month to rate. How is that? I don't have the sharpest rates in the tool shed. There's always some call center jockey that's going to have sharper rates out there. How am I doing it? I'm doing it by being an expert in it. And when you're perceived as the expert, and the only way you're really going to be perceived is if you school yourself to become the expert, that's when you're really going to start to get the eyes on you. It's not just posting funny videos, but it's also educating people and putting real relevant information in their hands, especially like we were seeing in March when the market's going sideways. People are looking for relevant, true information content that they can rely on. And if that's you got an audience.
Dude, I'm so impressed. I cannot wait to like re-release this or have people watch in the future or get it transcribed, because you've dropped like bomb after bomb on this thing about just how to look. I mean, literally in 28 minutes, you know, if people would just copy what you just told them to do, they could have the career of their life.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably close 350 units this year.
I mean, is it worth it, guys?
And that's not to say that braggadociously. It's just, I actually sit in bewilderment and wonderment of how the hell this is all happening. It's just happening. Like my phone just rings, and I'm not prospecting. I'm not doing lunches. I'm not doing lunch and learns. I'm not doing CE classes. I'm just sitting in my desk all day answering the phone when it rings.
But this is what I want everybody to hear, because not only did Andrew do all the hard work, which is crucial. You can't skip your way. No one goes viral off one video. No one makes, you know, you have to earn your audience, earn your place, earn your seat at the table. But this is what it looks like when you have influence. And Andrew has influence. He's worked hard for it. And he's, by the way, you heard him talk about how intentional he is and making sure he doesn't alienate people, because his job is to help people get home loans. So he wants to do that for everybody. Why would you alienate people that you want to help and serve?
Right. If you were a contractor, would you drive around with a Confederate flag in the back of your truck, showing up to people's houses, offering your services?
It's a bad message.
No, I mean, it would just be the dumbest thing on earth. So why would you do it on social media? It just blows my mind when I see people post on Facebook. It's like, congratulations, you just turned off half your audience.
Dude, they don't get it. They don't get it. All right, so everybody on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, all of Andrew's handles have been posted. Please go hang out and follow this guy, see what he's doing. I say this a million times, but if you want to get better, go follow what epic people are doing. Good little
well, if you get me on Facebook, follow. Don't always add me as a friend if you're in the mortgage business, because I'm almost capped out at friends and I'm trying to leave room for my realtors. So follow me on Facebook. Don't add friends, because I'm trying to keep room open.
Andrew, you're the man, dude. Thank you for hanging out with us today. I cannot wait to reshare this. Tons of amazing content, dude. You're the man.
All right, take care, buddy.
See you, buddy. Woo! We're almost done, friends. We have almost made it to the end, but I'm almost the most excited about this one, because if we're talking social media and we're doing a collab and we're not talking about TikTok, we've totally missed the boat. And I got to tell you, this guy who's going to come on, Scott Bentley, first of all, he's a brand new father, like new. So we'll joke about that, because he's a bold man for coming on here with a baby somewhere in the house. But I've been poking around on TikTok because humans are on TikTok, and I'm like, what's going on there? And holy crap, somebody figured it out in the mortgage space. And I started to realize there's something here. And this is going right down to the line, guys, of there's an audience for everybody. Get ready. Let's talk to Scott Bentley about TikTok.
All right, friends and professionals, our next topic, TikTok. You cannot have a social media collab event without talking about the hottest new platform out there. And this guy, Scott Bentley, cracked it at The Mortgage Guy. Somehow the algorithm likes you, likes your community, likes your fun, likes your creativity, and man, you hit it. And this is my point. There are so many more ways to customer there. Let's go explore what Scott's doing on TikTok to change his career.
Woo!
On.
What's up, Scott?
How you doing?
Dude, so good to see you. I feel like I know you and your house because I see you on TikTok all the time now.
So for so long, I feel like all my content's in my house now. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. So let's break this down for everybody that's hanging on to the end because they knew TikTok was coming. It's a scary platform. It's a bunch of underage girls dancing to silly songs.
Yes.
And then you've got Scott Bentley dominating the mortgage space. So let's start with some stats, dude. How many followers you got on TikTok?
I think I'm around 135K right now.
135,000. How many views have you got?
I think I'm averaging like 7 to 8 million views a week.
See ya, guys. Thanks for being a part of the collab. We're just gonna no. Are you like? This is what blew my mind. So Scott, I started to search for hashtags, search for stuff, seeing who's on there in mortgage, and then all of a sudden I was like, holy crap! And then I looked at your page and I was like, oh, holy crap! And then I went one step further, and I tell everybody this. I started looking at your comments.
Yeah,
that to me is what I'm curious about. Views and stuff are good, but comments are interesting. And then I was like, holy crap! There's people that want mortgage information.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So let's talk about this. not only did you're rocking my world and my mind on this, but it just further validates for me that there are more paths to the consumer than ever before. Why did you get on TikTok?
It was primarily because of Gary Vee. I listened to his podcast daily, and I was in my home gym, I think in like November or October of last year, and he was raving about TikTok and the organic reach and how, it's in its infancy. And I was like, I'll try it. And then I was like 30 videos in, just kind of dabbling. And I think it was like my 31st or 32nd video or something like that. And it got like 300,000 or 400,000 views overnight. I was like, wow, this is legit. And I was having so many people reach out through, how do I do this? Who do I call? How can I get in contact with you? I was like, wow, I could really use this as a platform. And that was the start of it, really. But all from Gary Vee.
So people forget, like, on this platform of how to leverage it and how to use it. Describe TikTok as a platform. Like, if someone asks, like, what is it? What's happening there? Let's. I have my own opinion, but someone who's actually like killing it there. Like, what's your opinion of this platform? What are people using it for?
It's very similar to Vine. It was Musically, but it's essentially like Instagram with all video content. It's short, sweet, up to a minute video. And the premise with the platform is there's a lot of trending songs and music and skits and trends that are happening. And if you can tap into that stuff, that's really where you can benefit the most.
Yeah. So Scott, what people don't understand is that there's people on that platform making jokes, making memes, doing dances, doing skits. And then people are ripping off those skits and putting their own twist on it, taking the same music, doing it differently themselves a little bit. Yeah. And then you're doing it, but you're doing it with mortgage content. Like I know you cringed a little bit there, but like this is the power of this. Like, you're doing it with like, how much down payment can I afford, or like, can I buy a house with 0 down? And like, you're doing the same silly skits these other people are doing.
Yeah,
but it's mortgage related.
Yeah, honestly, man, I never thought that it would catch on like it has. I was like, I mean, because mortgages, they're not fancy, they're not too fun, but yeah, it's been very, very cool to see. For sure.
Well, and this is one of the themes I want to talk about. When you decide to start making content on there, you're not making what I would consider traditional mortgage content. There are people on that platform who are doing what I would call traditional mortgage content. Right. They're explaining debt to income. They're not speaking in the voice of the platform.
Right. And the context of it. Right.
And the context of it. So you started doing it, and all of a sudden you're getting 300,000 to 400,000 views. This is a stupid question, but how has it changed your business?
It's blown it up. Honestly, I just got licensed in Virginia, DC, Pennsylvania, and Florida, and I am getting probably 70 to 100 people a week in my licensed areas that I can help, that are just reaching out via email. I have a little landing page on my profile where if someone comments, I kind of scan my comments. But recently, TikTok's been like blocking me from responding to everyone, where once you've commented back to a certain number of people, it says you're commenting too much and stops you. So it's kind of weird. But I kind of scan through the comments, see who I can help, send them to my landing page, have them reach out to me. And it has tripled my business easily just in the last 5 months. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and Scott, I want you to share about this because, what made you not put out the normal mortgage content? What inspired you to play the game differently?
It was Gary Vee. Honestly, he always talks about the context of the platform and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and how they're all different. And, I realized around the same time that, he's right. Like, for the longest time, I've been posting the same type of content across everything. And there were certain things that performed better on different platforms because of what type of content it was. And I've really started to tap into, the trends and what's actually happening on that platform and performing well, not only with just viral content, but, there's doctors, there's physical therapists, there's different people on there that I saw. There were a few people ahead of me. I think there was a doctor I saw and the dentist who I ran into early on. And I was like, he's tapping into these trends and just spinning it about his craft and what he does. And that was kind of how I was like, this is the direction I need to go with it. And what's cool too is it's trickled over to my Instagram too, where, your IG gets embedded into your profile. And now I kind of regurgitate that content onto Instagram. And it performs well on there too. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, let's break this down. What a lot of people, when they feel like they have to put out mortgage content, are afraid to be funny.
Yeah,
because they think that they have to be serious, because this is a serious thing, and we are talking about serious money for people. Like it is a serious thing. It's boring, but it's serious, and you can mess it up, and people can lose their earnest money deposit. I mean, there's like real ramifications. And yet you infuse a ton of humor into your content, even to some of the videos I've seen now that I started to social stalk you on, like, you know, redoing some of the most popular music videos with like your own music mortgage take on it.
Yeah.
What inspired you to do that as an angle?
It was Gary Vaynerchuk, man. Literally, he talks about authenticity and, you know, letting your hair down and being you. And I push the envelope sometimes on the edginess of it, but for the first like 7 years of my career, I was so prim and proper, and I felt like I had to be so professional because, like you said, we're handling the largest investment of people's lives. Yeah. And I kind of came to the realization, you know, and that being authentic and being yourself and kind of just letting your hair down and not having those walls up, it's so much better because the consumer connects with that. They're not necessarily all prim and proper or need that professional take, and actually more people connect. Obviously there's people that probably get turned off by it and the edginess of the content that I put out, but there's a heck of a lot more that connect with it. So yeah, that's kind of what that comes down to.
You know, I want to echo that because I don't think enough people are hearing it as authentically as I want them to, that the opportunity really for everybody out there in sales and mortgage, et cetera, is to really be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, to be yourself, if you think, like, I know there's probably some professionals out there who are like, oh, TikTok, I don't connect to it. I don't like it. I've looked at it, but it turns me off. And for every one of those people, there's millions and millions of people on the platform who are super excited to be on the platform and take tons of enjoyment from it. And again, this further validates to everyone that's hung out for multiple segments today, there are so many paths to the consumer because the consumers are radically different. And you can have the Super Serious Mortgage podcast, audio only, or you could be Scott on TikTok dancing with some song and dropping mortgage facts and getting huge response. Like,
I walked into my kid's daycare this morning and all the teachers turned around and like, look who it is, that mortgage guy. And I didn't know that they see me on there. And they're like, we didn't know you were TikTok famous. I'm like, this is just crazy. Like,
it's crazy. And I'm encouraging everybody, you know, especially through this collab, to get themselves out authentically onto the platforms that they feel connected to, because this will never happen again.
Never.
Like, this is never going to happen again. There's never going to be another that mortgage guy. Like, you're the guy. And the more you lean into it and take ownership of the space, the more that it just distances from everybody else. And so what's your goal with it? Do you have a goal with it? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my goal at the end of the day is to really monetize my following and my audience. I'd like to grow it to, you know, 1 million to 2 million in the next 2 to 4 years. And of course, this last week or so, I've had to kind of pump the brakes a little bit because I've been.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, man. The sleep is just what's getting to me.
It's the worst. I'm
running on 48 ounces of coffee today, so
bro, I feel you.
Leave that there. But that's the goal, is really grow it to 2 to maybe 3 million in followers. And right now I'm at 135K and I'm averaging, you know, probably 200 to 300 emails a day sometimes. And, you know, if I could quadruple that, you know, maybe even more, I kind of want to grow to a point where I can grow my team as well and just kind of hand off these deals and not be so bombarded with all of this stuff, because it's a lot to handle. But and then eventually maybe look at like advertising and influencer marketing within the financial sector, you know, with insurance and investment firms and real estate agencies and things of that nature.
Dude, so fun, man. So what was your aha moment? Like, oh crap, this is going to be a thing. You know, was it that first time you hit, like, was it literally like no views and then you woke up and it was 300,000 views? Was it like that? Did it grow slowly?
It happened pretty quickly. Yeah. I posted it and I think I got like 4,000 or 5,000 views in an hour. And I was like, wow, this one's performing well.
You remember which one it was?
What's that?
You remember what it was?
Yeah, it was literally, I just had my phone and I was walking through my kitchen and I was pointing to text bubbles on Beat on how you can buy a house with no money down.
Perfect.
And it wasn't fancy. It wasn't anything special. And yeah, I was like, why is this performing so well? And it did. And that's the cool part about the platform too, is it doesn't have to be so post-produced. It doesn't have to be so fancy. 95% of the content you see on the platform is shot from people's phones and not even from this side of the camera. Like you're talking about this side of the camera, and it's not perfect clarity. The resolution isn't perfect, and it doesn't matter. So that's what's kind of cool too.
By the way, one of my favorites was you posted about your old company wanting you back now that you were TikTok famous. I fell out of my chair. I was dying, dude. I was like, that is so freaking funny. It's just so good, dude.
Yeah. There's some content I post. I'm like maybe I should take that down.
I don't know. Live your life. So let's do this. If somebody is like, one of my big encouragements here is not to try to have everybody replicate everybody else. Right? There's been lots of people doing like podcasting and Instagram and Facebook groups, and I don't want to be like, oh shit, I got to copy this person, and then maybe I can get some of their stuff. But if there is somebody who wants to start going into TikTok because they think they're like, this is interesting, or their kids are on it, so they're like, I'll be there, but they're on it the whole time. Give everybody the kind of like the quick and dirty advice of how to understand the platform, what to do and not do, how to stay authentic. Share your thoughts.
Yeah. So I would say in the first, like when you start off on the platform, obviously download the app and spend 4 to 5 hours consuming content, going through the For You page, they call it, where, like on Instagram, they have the search bar where you can see content all over the world, viral content that is performing well on the platform. TikTok is similar, where they have a For You page and a following page. Your following page are people that you follow. The For You page is people all across the world that have posted content that's performing well on the platform. And within that content on the For You page, there's different themes, there's different skits, there's a ton of trending songs.
Yep.
And if you can take advantage of those songs, whether it's a play on the words within the song, with your craft and what you're talking about, or whether you're just taking advantage of that song because it's trending and it has 1 million views made to that song and pointing to text bubbles on beat, I think that's the core of what it is just tapping into those trends and those trending songs. So,
yeah, thanks for that. It's the 101 on how to speak the same language of the platform you're on.
Right.
Understanding what people are doing on it, and then being able to put your own spin and creativity behind it. And you're a pretty creative dude. I mean, it's hard to come up with content. People freeze up, and then this is. I can imagine them being a little scared of TikTok.
Yeah, it is no joke. Once you hit like 20, 30,000 followers, you start to feel this pressure. Like, man, I gotta figure something out today. What am I gonna do? And that's literally like every night between probably 10 and 1 a.m. I'll sit on my phone. My wife will fall asleep, and I'll just consume content. And I'll text videos to myself. You can text yourself. I don't know if you have an iPhone. I don't know how Android is, but you can text yourself. Text the video to yourself and then put in a blurb of how you want to spin it or what you want to say or how you want to do it. And I just store that content and just every night, add to it and then pick, what I think is going to perform best. So, and it's always good. Like later on at night, you have a couple beers, you can relax and just have fun with it. And that's probably where my most creativity.
Exactly. When all the inhibitions are down, you can be like, I'm going to film it about that.
Exactly.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Scott. How has this? What's the lead velocity from the platform? Like, monthly, weekly. What kind of lead velocity are you getting from it?
Right now, I have 3 closings directly from TikTok. I have $1.4 million in buyers under contract right now. I probably have like 30 to 40 buyers on the street shopping, but I literally just got approved yesterday for those other 4 states: Virginia, Florida, DC, and Pennsylvania. And I'm getting probably 30 to 50 people a week in those areas. For Maryland, it was like 5 to 7 leads a week, but the leads were legitimate. I mean, it wasn't, I was converting probably half of them. That's what's crazy about it, is the conversion is great.
It's what's awesome about it, because it just shows that humans are out there looking for help and they're connecting with who they're connecting with on those platforms. And if you're there and like Scott is working hard to put out content, because I mean, how many videos have you done on TikTok? How many TikToks have you done?
I don't even know. I have to go and look.
Tons. Like I was scrolling one day, I'm like, wow, like this guy is, but this is going back to every theme you've heard this whole day, which is hard work is still hard work.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you just go on TikTok and you just all of a sudden become famous and now you get leads every day. No, like Scott, you're investing in it. You're putting out, you're thinking about it at night. You're coming up with content ideas. You're being creative. And then you're executing it at a much bigger pace than other people, I think, are even imagining.
Yeah. And now it's prime time. Like, you have to be posting 3 to 4 times a day. And I've been feeling guilty because the last week I've kind of laid off and been doing.
You're not a baby, bro. Well,
I know, but I don't know. It's tough. I'm doing the best I can, but yeah, you're right. Like, if you're not tapping into it now is the heat of everything. I mean, Gary talks about how far in its infancy it is and how it is like 4 times better than what Instagram was in its heyday when it first kicked off, and that organic reach was outrageous. So, if you're not taking advantage of it now, it's a mistake.
It's a mistake. Here's my encouragement for everybody that's hearing Scott and maybe a little intimidated or thinking that the platform's not for them. I would disagree. Everyone thought Facebook wasn't a platform for adults or whatever we are. I don't think that people thought Instagram was just for photos.
Mm-hmm.
These platforms are places for human connection. That's what they are. And I got to tell you, Scott, I know I said this earlier, but the second I started reading your comments and seeing people going, well, can I buy a house? Well, what about me? What about where I live? Can you refer me to someone in California? And I was like, holy crap. This is real. This is happening.
It's crazy. Yeah, I never thought it would, but it's been a good surprise for this year, for sure.
So as we wind down here, what has been your biggest learnings because this is relatively, give everybody some context. When did this really hit for you?
I think my first video went viral in December, and then it took me some time to really figure out and like harness the platform and the context of it. And I think in like January, February timeframe, I really started to gain some steam and started to figure out, what content is performing better and how I have to spin it. I would say the top 3 things I try to focus on, one is authenticity and focusing on things that you like and things you like to do.
Yep.
Number 2 is providing value, whether it's something about a down payment assistance program or a snippet of the home buying process or something that people need to know, or a home buying hack or something along those lines. And then number 3 is being entertaining to some extent, whether it's humorous or something that's just off the wall or different. You have to grab the viewer's attention and also have that hook within the first 3 to 4 seconds of the video. That platform is so fast paced. People are just scrolling, consuming content rapidly, and you have to capture the viewer's attention quickly. So you have to have that hook. And I would say, those 3 pillars are what I focus on and trying to figure out how I can capture the viewer's attention quickly.
Now, by the way, for everyone that heard that, I think that's universally true across any platform. That hook concept.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a 45-minute to an hour-long podcast, hook in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you're going to do an Instagram video or IGTV video, hook in the beginning. Before it says, hey, do you want to keep watching this? If you haven't hooked somebody, they're not going to keep watching it on Instagram.
Nope.
So, Scott's advice, guys, is universal to any type of content you're going to create. Hook right away.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, dude, first of all, everyone probably just didn't hear that this is happening like in real time. So like Scott got some traction in December. Now we're like 6 months later and this thing is blowing up. So it's like, it's actually happening right now. It's not like he spent 7 years building his TikTok, platform.
Yeah.
It's really happening right now. And my biggest encouragement to all you guys from anything today is just dive the hell in. Dive in.
Yep.
And get messy and make mistakes and do silly dances and see what lands. Because people they want authenticity. I mean, Scott, you're nothing but authentic in there on all your content. Everything you do, I can see you're like what you care about is coming through in the messaging. And so I'm just watching it all happen in real time. And I'm like, this is the truth across all these platforms, guys.
It's
Any
definitely
final words of advice, brother, that you would give everybody and we can get you back to your baby?
No, I mean, I would say have patience, test the waters and try different things. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's a process, just like anything else. I was listening a little bit to the gentleman you had on before me. And, I started doing video content 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And just like he said, you can go back to my Instagram and watch those videos. They were horrible. And it's literally a process, just like everything else. Professional baseball players don't become professionals overnight. And so you've got to have patience and you've got to put the work in, really.
Dude, go follow this guy on TikTok. You'll learn the game. I'm so excited to see you and sharing freely, Scott, on what you're doing. Thank you for everything you've done so far for the mortgage industry on TikTok. You're representing us well, getting the word out. I love it. And thanks for joining today, dude.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
Take care.
Friends, we did it. We did it. Thank you so much for all of you that hung and joined with us now and in the future on this collab. We're going to be breaking up these segments and redistributing them. So if it's a topic you're really passionate about, you're going to be able to get that segment alone and not have to scroll through a really, really long engagement process. Man, dive into the waters, team. Like, how much more proof do you need? Dive into the waters. I don't care where, but go all in and have some fun with your career, with yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. At the end of all that stuff is unbelievable opportunity if you're willing to play in the space. I hope it brought you value today. Please go find these wonderful human beings online, connect with them, follow them, see what they're doing. Man, I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.